All right, y'all, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Alahym in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We're going to pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for any of you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? So hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. First Corinthians chapter 4, verse 14. Shalom, brother. Man. I write not these things to shame you, but as my beloved sons I warn. For though you have 10,000 instructors in the Mashiach, yet not many fathers, if for in Mashiach Yahushua I have begotten you through the gospel. Wherefore I beseech you, be you followers of me. For this cause have I sent unto you Timotheus, who is my beloved son, faithful in the Lord, who shall bring you into remembrance of all my ways, which be in a Mashiach, as I teach everywhere in every synagogue. Now some are puffed up as though I would not come to you, but I will come to you shortly if the Lord will, and will know, not the speech of them which are puffed up, but the power. For the Malkuth of Alahym is not in word, but in power. 1 Samuel chapter 10, man, verse 24.
And Samuel said to all the people, see you him whom Yahuwah have chosen, that none like him among all the people. And all the people shouted and said, Alahym, save the king. Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom, and wrote in a book and laid up before Yahuwah. And Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house.
Good. So, of course, you know, he wrote down the judgment of the office of the king. Do me another favor. Give me 1 Samuel 13 and 14. After 1 Samuel 13 and 14, get me Isaiah chapter 16 and verse 1.
But now your kingdom shall not continue. Yahuwah hath sought him a man after his own heart, and Yahuwah hath commanded him captain over his people, because you have not kept what Yahuwah commanded you.
That's good. Go to Exodus 34 and 5. So you know he said he sought a man after his own heart, which you know that's his own mind, his own understanding, his own wisdom. Exodus 34 and 5.
And Yahuwah descended in a cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah passed by before him and proclaimed Yahuwah Alahym, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth.
He said he merciful and what?
And gracious.
And what else did he say?
Long-suffering.
And what else?
Abundant in goodness and truth.
And what else he do?
Keeping mercy for thousands.
He keep mercy for who?
For thousands.
And what else he do?
Forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and upon the children's children, unto the third and to the fourth.
Paul. So, my man just called me and just said that very thing. He was like, because, he don't believe in the Lord no more. That's unfortunate for him. But the statement he made is he was like, why people don't fear God? And I just told him, niggas hate his mercy because they don't believe that it's actually going to be extended, or they feel like they deserve it, or a multitude of things. You know what I'm talking about? But again, it's just to reiterate the point that we've been discussing, that Yahuwah is Yahuwah without the law. The law does not make Yahuwah who he is. He just told you who he was right there, didn't he? Mm-hmm. We just read yesterday what he delighted in. What are those three things that he delighted in? Go ahead.
Judgment, justice, and mercy.
Well, y'all saying that, but that ain't what he said. But it's the same thing. Shalom, Brother Marcus. Jeremiah 9 and 23. It's the same thing. Y'all just using different words. We have to be strict for the smarty art niggas in the back who be looking to say something when they be like, that's not what it said. Y'all don't be knowing they be dudes who be trolling through people's videos, clubhouses, and all that, man, looking for you to say something where you saying the same thing, but that ain't what exactly it say on the page to find the rhyme and reason to try to discredit what you just said. People live their life like that, unfortunately. Jeremiah 9 and 23.
Thus saith Yahuwah, let not the wise
go ahead.
Esteem in his wisdom, neither let the mighty esteem in his might.
What do he need to esteem in?
Let not the rich esteem in his riches.
What do he need to esteem?
But let him that esteem in this.
What do he
understand and know me?
He understanding what?
And know me.
He understanding what?
Know me.
What is it to knowing?
That I, Yahuwah, which exercise loving kindness.
What do he exercise?
Loving kindness.
What do he exercise?
Loving kindness.
What else he exercise?
Judgment and righteousness.
Judgment and what?
And righteousness. and the earth, for in these I delight, saith Yahuwah.
So that's what he delight in. Loving kindness, righteousness, and what else?
Judgment.
Judgment. I got this here. Matthew 23, y'all. Verse 13. Matthew 23 and 13. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the mouth Kufa Shamahim against men, for you neither go in, neither suffer you them that are entering to go in. So, of course, we talk about that. What is this Matthew 23 and 13? What is this point 24 in the law, man? Where can you go at in the law to get your example for this? Oh, y'all ain't got no answer for me? I'm going to start making you niggas do push-ups and something. I'm starting with Shayla first. That nigga say, what? You look like you can do some push-ups. Let me get 22 of them right now. That wasn't a request. I can see why you would say that, but they already had a kingdom at that point. I only asked this question because we just talked about it probably about a month and a half ago, maybe shorter than that. I don't be knowing. I lose track of time. No, not that one. When we discussed this one here in not too long ago, was right in Numbers chapter 13, when the people went and looked at the land and spied the land, and then people brought back an evil report because they wasn't trying to go in and they were trying to stop other people from going in. Because at that time, they hadn't received the kingdom as of yet. They were going to, and they spoke evil of it. And that's no different than what the scribes and Pharisees or individuals are doing now. You don't have a kingdom as of yet. You're trying to enter into it, and they speak evil of it. Matter of fact, read Malachi chapter 2 for me, man. Malachi 2, man. Tell me what verse 13 say.
And this have you done again, covering the altar of Yahuwah with tears, with weeping, with crying out, insomuch that he regard not the offering anymore, or receive with goodwill at your hand. Yet you say, wherefore? Wherefore? Because Yahuwah have been witness between you and the wife of your youth.
We got down to verse 17 because we don't got to talk about that.
You have wearied Yahuwah with your words.
You've done what?
Wearied Yahuwah with your words.
What were those words?
Yet you say, wherein have we wearied?
Why we done got this man tired from?
When you say, everyone that do evil, good in the sight of Yahuwah, and he delight in them.
And he what?
Delight in them.
That's what people be walking around here thinking too, man. You could do evil and Yahuwah take pleasure in that.
Or where is the Alahym of judgment?
Where he at? Go ahead.
That's it.
Okay, great. Well, that's the end of it. That still ain't what I wanted. I'll help you out. I could have had it in the wrong chapter. I did. I need chapter 3, man. I need verse 14. That's what I need. Malachi, but that worked also. Malachi 3 and 14, what I need. Listen to it.
You have said it is vain to serve Alahym.
It is what?
It is vain to serve Alahym.
Why?
And what profit that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before Yahuwah of hosts.
He said, what profit is it that you done what?
Kept his ordinance.
Listen to him.
And that we have walked mournfully before Yahuwah of hosts.
Go ahead.
And now we call the proud happy.
Call the proud what?
Happy.
And what else?
Yea, they that work wickedness are set up.
Those that work wickedness are what?
Set up.
Now go over here to Romans chapter 3 and verse 1 and listen to him.
What advantage then have the Yahudim, or what profit of circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because of that unto them were committed the oracle of Alahym.
That's right.
For what if some did not believe?
What if some did not believe?
Shall their unbelief make the faith of Alahym without effect?
Alahym forbid.
Yea, let Alahym be true.
And every man
a liar. As it is written, that you might be justified in your sayings and might overcome when you are judged.
But notice that he said, what advantage? What leg up you got on the individual because you got the word, and them same people who got it saying, hey man, this is a vain thing for us to do. And that's what the scribes and Pharisees were doing at the time. And truth be told, that's what these niggas doing now. They don't think that that's what they're doing because they have a hard on to discredit Christianity every minute and every moment of the day. But that's what they're doing. They're doing the same thing. Because they're telling you, anytime somebody tell you ain't nobody coming to save you, ain't nobody coming out the sky, they just told you it was a worthless thing to serve the Lord. That's what they just told you. Because at that point, you saying this man don't even have the power and the ability to deliver, and that you got to put your trust in man, even though the book say our help come from heaven, our help come from Yahuwah. Come on back to Matthew 23, man. I'm in verse 14. Matthew 23 and 14. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore you shall receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. Woe unto you, blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Now look at this here, right? Go to Jeremiah 7:1. Shalom, Brother Nate. Jeremiah 7:1, man. Tell me what it say, man.
The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahuwah, saying, stand in the gate of Yahuwah's house, and proclaim there the word.
Stand in the gate of who?
Yahuwah's house.
Stand in the gate of who?
Yahuwah's house.
Now I want you to look at it. He said, him that swear by the temple, he said, that's nothing. Go ahead.
And say, hear the word of Yahuwah. All of Yehudah that enter in at these gates to worship Yahuwah, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the Alahym Yasharal, amend your ways and your doings.
Do what?
Amend your ways and your doings.
What else?
And I will cause you to dwell in this place. Trust you not in lying words, saying the temple of Yahuwah, the temple of Yahuwah, the temple of Yahuwah are these.
What is the temple of Yahuwah, Jeremiah?
For if thoroughly amend your ways and your doings.
If you do what?
Thoroughly amend your ways and your doings.
And what else?
If you thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor. You oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after other gods to your hurt. Then will I cause you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever.
That's what Jeremiah 9 talking about. That's what Exodus 34 talking about. He telling you if you want to scream. See, your forefathers thought because they had a physical temple that they could go to, that meant something. You know what I'm saying? They put more stock in the building than the maker of the building. It's the same thing now. You take more stock in he who made you an Israelite by blood than him who actually makes man. This is what get people all kilted, man. That's why everything is out of whack. And individuals like to say, oh, nobody don't want to receive the truth because they know that what the dope you selling is trash. So they don't want it. They're not moved by it. But that's good. Come on back over here to verse 16. Y'all understand what they saying in verse 16 in Matthew 23? He's saying you can swear by the temple of Yahuwah, and that won't mean nothing. But if you swear by the gold that's on the altar, now you owe. You got to pay. Remember what he told you in Ecclesiastes when it came to vows, right? You remember what he said? What did he say? I can't hear you. I said I can't hear you. You got to pay it. So if you swore by the temple and didn't pay, they told you that ain't no big deal. But the money, you swore by that, you got to pay what you owe. So basically, they say you can swear to God, and you ain't got to do what you said you were gonna do to him. But if you swore by their money, you got to pay that. And you know why they said that? Because they get the money. That's why they were saying that. You already know if you make an offering to Yahuwah, who get it? That's why they were saying that. Oh yeah, if you swore by the temple, that ain't no big deal. You ain't got to fulfill that. But if you swore by this gold, boy, you got to pay that now. You got to fulfill your word. That's evil as hell. That's what they was on. Like I told you, we done heard some stories about it. I don't know how true it is. We made a couple jokes about it. Nigga talking about, I think I told you about that when dude was like, hey man, you get with a woman in this particular organization, and you can put that woman out her house, and she got to let the brothers live there, and it become a barracks. I'm not making this up. It was about 2-3 women that said that, and one of them said she experienced it directly. I told her, I ain't saying you're lying, because I ain't lay my eyes on it. But I'm like, but if that's what happened to you, that has to suck. You know what I'm talking about? You got a nice 3-bedroom home, and you like this here. Hey man, you got to go. This for the brothers. Now the brothers all in here piled up in here. That don't even sound right. I don't even know how you go for that. I ain't going for that. My nigga can stay here. I don't know about these niggas. How I'm gonna get out my house for these niggas? Where were they living at before? That's where they need to stay at. Man, I told you this same lady said them niggas gotta pay tied food stamps. You know what I'm talking about? They said they gotta tie food stamps every week. That nigga said you ain't got no money, you got some food stamps, we'll take that. So the brothers can go shopping. They need groceries. Ain't nowhere in the world you supposed to be asking a nigga for no food stamp, man. I wouldn't even take that. If a nigga came and say, man, I want to tie my food stamp, and I'm not taking it because it's food stamps. I'm like, well, if you got food stamps, you need this more than we do. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up and down. If you saying all I got is food stamps, you need that more than we do. You go ahead and keep that. You know what I'm saying? You go ahead and get your, your fruit snacks for your churn and your Capri Suns and y'all and your Fruity Pebbles and live your life. And according to this lady, and I don't necessarily believe this part of truth, she said a lot of them dudes don't work. But I don't believe that, though. I believe it's probably dudes in there that don't work, but I think most of them work. Matthew chapter 23, verse 17. Fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sacrificed the gold. Speaking of that work, did any of y'all see, did you see this? My man shared this here, some dude that had literature marks around his old lady neck. That's the marks you get if somebody strike. If somebody strangle you to death and you die, you know what I'm saying, you'll have marks around your neck. You know what I'm saying? Now, the lady wasn't dead, but it was some brew. He shared photographs of a train station and then his old lady neck. And I couldn't get, and he had a whole bunch of verses behind it. My man William had shared the junk like, hey, man, what's up with this nigga? So you don't go to the original post. From what he said is his old lady left him at the train station. So to retaliate, he snatched her dress off that he bought that she was wearing. And he said that's what caused the marks on the neck. But that was a lie if he ever told one, because that looked like that nigga was strangled. You know what I'm talking about? With a rope. Because it was like 1, 2, 3 more. Like, ain't no, I don't know. Maybe she might be fair skinned, but I doubt the dress did that. Then he say that basically, effectively, did he rape her? I'm not making this up. He said it at his own. He was like, yeah, so you saying you raped her? He's like, yeah. I say, nigga, you know what I'm saying? Then they were like, oh, that lady a truck driver, he don't work. He said, I don't have to work. This is what the nigga said now. I think his name was Jeremiah Israel. I had to find it, man. I'll let you see it. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, let me put this here. You can rape a nigga now. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Now, as far as now, when you go to looking in the text, because I know what he's saying. If that's your wife, she ain't got no power over her body. But I can tell you this here, wife or not, boy, if you physically accost a nigga, you done raped him. Now, whether you feel you ought to go to jail for it, that's between you and the Lord. But I know if somebody be like, hey, what is you doing? And you force yourself on them, yes, nigga, you have committed a sexual assault. You know what I'm talking about? It's just no different if she drugged you and took it while you were knocked out. You like, I got a homeboy, he claimed that happened to him. He claimed a big fat white chick got him drunk and raped him. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe him, but that's what he said. I wasn't there. I don't believe him. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm dead serious. That nigga say she raped me, bro. She gave me that Bacardi, bro. I was drunk. She raped me. No, he was on Bacardi 151. That nigga was drinking gasoline. I don't know if you ever seen, because you ever seen that before? Yeah, that junk like drinking gasoline, boy. Damn that moonshine. So you know what I'm talking about? But he said he was raped. I wasn't there that night because this woman here was a grotesque looking white woman. She wanted him. You know what I'm talking about? So I believe he was drunk and he was like, bumping, she here, ain't nobody else here, I'm gonna do it. And I think somebody came to the house that morning and seen it, and he was kind of come up with an excuse to cover himself. That's just me personally. Come on, man. 23 and 17. Fools and blind, whether it's greater, the gold or the temple that sanctify the gold. And whosoever shall swear by the altar, it is nothing. But whosoever swear by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. You see how the type of games these men were playing? They say you can swear by the altar, which you make the sacrifice to Yahuwah, and they ain't no big deal. I don't understand why people were swearing by sacrifices, for that matter. But nevertheless, fools and blind, whether greater, the gift or the altar that sanctify the gift. Whoso therefore shall swear by the altar, swear by it, and by all things thereon. Whosoever swear by the temple, swear by it, and by him that dwell therein. Since he mentioned that him that dwell therein, what that is, 1 Chronicles chapter 6. Let's look at it. No, 2 Chronicles chapter 7. Ain't that page though. 2 Chronicles 7, man. You could pick it up at verse 1, man.
Now, when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from Alahym and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the esteem of Yahuwah filled the house. And the priest could not enter into the house of Yahuwah, because the esteem of Yahuwah had filled Yahuwah's house. And when the children of Yasharal
The esteem of Yahuwah did what?
had filled Yahuwah's house.
Shalom, Jedediah. So you see that? I'm just showing you that he dwelt, that he still dwelt in that house. Now, of course, he told you in Isaiah 66 that he don't dwell where? So, and temple made with man's hands because he dwell in man. Because he told you that in Leviticus, did he not? That he will walk in you and be in you. But nevertheless, that's still his house. It's not like his presence was absent from the temple of Yahuwah. Go ahead.
And when all the children of Yasharal saw how the fire came down and the esteem of Yahuwah upon the house, they bowed themselves with their faces to the ground upon the pavement and worshiped and praised Yahuwah. For he's good, for his mercy forever.
Mm-hmm.
Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before Yahuwah, and King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the house of Alahym. And the priests waited on their offices, the Levites also with instruments of music of Yahuwah, which David the king had made to praise Yahuwah, because his mercy forever. When David praised by their ministry, and the priests sounded trumpets before them, and all Yasharal stood. Moreover, Solomon hollowed the middle of the court that was before the house of Yahuwah.
I just want you to see from the text that he dwelt there. Matthew chapter 23, verse 22. He that swear by Shamahim swear by the throne of Alahym and by him that sent thereon. This is part of the reason why he tell you not to swear. You know what I'm saying? Y'all remember what it said in Hebrews 6? Since he couldn't swear by no greater, he swore by who? Himself. You know what I'm saying? You can't play them type of games if you know you're not going to do what you say you're going to do. Remember what Jephthah's daughter said to him? Say, if you don't promise that to Yahuwah, man, do what you said you were going to do. That's why the Lord told you, let your yea. See, a lot of people say, he telling people not to swear. And Yahuwah said, swear by his name. He said, yeah, do it in truth, though. Don't swear by his name and you know you ain't got no intent on doing nothing what he talking about. Because, boy, once you do that, boy, you got to keep your word. You know what I'm saying? It ain't going to be no, well, I can't pull it off. It's kind of like the old adage that people like to say, to not make promises that you can't keep. You know what I'm talking about? Don't tell people stuff that you know you can't do. Don't make promises that you know you can't fulfill. And if you see that you can't fulfill them, it would be better served to let it be known that I can't fulfill that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but as far as his vows is concerned, yeah, man, just keep the man word. You don't need to be doing all that. Because if you know you ain't going to keep that vow, shut your mouth. That's the same token when you got dudes, everybody be quick to say they took a Nazarite vow. You know why dudes be wanting to say they take a Nazarite vow? You know the number one reason why they want to take it? What you think, sis? He lost y'all. He don't know.
I don't.
Damn. What y'all think the number one reason dudes be talking about they want to take a Nazarite vow? So they can grow their locks out. That's the only reason. You don't need to take a Nazarite vow to do that. You just grow your locks out. That's the only reason why. When you hear dudes talk about a Nazarite vow, what they be talking about? That's the only thing that they mention. You looking like you don't know what that is. You don't know what that is? Why you don't know what that is? I'll throw a rock at you. What? Come again and say what? Numbers chapter 6, verse 1.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, when either man or woman shall separate to vow a vow of a Nazarite.
To separate, to do what?
To vow the vow of a...
No, to do what?
Separate.
Tell them what separate means.
That's palad. To be marvelous, to be wonderful.
You heard what that is? You heard what word that is? Palad. That's the word you use when they go to talking about mighty works you who will be doing. Pay Lamad, and what's the last one? Oh, you don't know. Let me see.
Pay Lamad.
And they say, you don't stop disrespecting me like that. Alahym, yeah, probably. Yeah. But you heard what it said. What's the definition, though?
To be marvelous, to be wonderful, to surpass, to be surpassing, extraordinary, separate by a distinguishing action. You are separate by a distinguishing action. So when you become a Nazarite, you're trying to separate yourself by a distinguishing action.
So, of course, we talking about this man kingdom. And if you want to separate yourself by distinguishing action to actually have power with him, you have to separate yourself by what's in Exodus 34. You got to separate yourself what's in Jeremiah 9 and what we're about to read in Matthew in a moment. Continue.
He shall separate from wine and strong drink.
He separate from what?
From wine and strong
What
drink.
did we read yesterday that the king ain't supposed to be fooled up with? Wine and strong drink. So this is one of the reasons why you can see that Yahushua is a Nazarite, and on top of him being the king, because this separate, distinct. And why did he say you got to separate that? Because you're going to err in judgment. You're going to forget, because we got to finish that in Proverbs 31. You're going to forget the poor and needy. There's a reason for that. You know how many brews up? There's some brews right now, and I ain't knocking them if that's what they want to do, because it's a celebratory time. Them boy got big bottles of yak. So y'all be thinking about some wine, boys. Them niggas bring hard liquor. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about hard. Some of y'all ain't drink no hard liquor because when you called yourself being grown, I'm talking about hard liquor. Some of y'all ain't never seen no top shelf liquor. You know what top shelf liquor is? That's the expensive stuff. That's the stuff on the top shelf. That's why they call it top shelf. No, I'm talking about when you go in a liquor store or a bar and they like this here, that's the top shelf stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that stuff called bread. That's when you go to dealing with whiskey, that be $500 a bottle. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like you going to buy that E&J over there. Nigga love Hennessy. Hennessy is low-level cognac. I'm dead serious. That's low-level cognac. That ain't no grade A cognac. It's way better cognac in the earth than Hennessy. You know what I'm talking about? Hennessy just popular. What's going on, DC? It's just popular. You got some cognac out here smooth. Boy, you be like this here. Y'all done seen the movies when a dude come in here, you want some bourbon? You want this here? Them niggas be having, when they had them nice little glasses, that ain't no cheap bourbon and whiskey and cognac they drinking. Yeah, that top shelf stuff, man. A lot of people don't want no top shelf stuff because it costs. You know what I'm saying? People like cheap stuff. You know what I'm saying? But act like they balling. Niggas be buying bottles of champagne in the club, spending thousands of dollars. Man, that stuff don't cost that much if you buy it out the doggone bar. You just did that to impress a bunch of broke people, to get drunk, to embarrass yourself. You did that to throw up on yourself. Some of y'all used to be in the car throwing up on yourself. That boy said it's so hard, it got felonies on it. It definitely do. Well, you got some liquor out here like, you know how some people like, boy, that burn your chest. Well, you got a liquor out here that's just as strong as the liquor you accustomed to and go down smooth like you drinking water. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't even know it. But yeah, man, you got some brews out here, they finna get drunk. Not no wine either. White, brown, everything. You should drink you some liquor in your time. You don't look like you drink no alcohol. You look like you like to smoke cigarettes. You smoke cigarettes? You ain't never smoked in your life? You ain't never drank in your life? Praise the Lord. Look at you. That's a good thing. I mean, you weren't out here being grown. Yeah, you was. Come on, Sid.
He shall separate from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink.
Tell him what vinegar of wine is.
Vinegar is comet. Vinegar.
Y'all know what that go to, right? Or do we need to go on that further? Or can we just acknowledge that and move on? What they try to get a man when he was getting hung. That's why he ain't taking. See, a lot of people look at it, how he was a Nazarite and he was drinking wine. He became a Nazarite when he sat down and he drank that wine and he ate that bread. That's when he was going to distinguish himself by a particular action. That's why you say, yeah, I ain't drinking no more. That means he and Shamahim ain't no wine sipping. Because remember, his Palah, he's separate by a distinct action. And what separated him was his hanging. That's why he tell you to take up the stake and follow him so you can separate yourself by a distinct action. Then by separating yourself by the denial of the stake, by this distinct action, then you'll take on this attributes, because if you've done that, that word got it. Do you understand you have to believe the word in it for it to be in you, for you to be able to make a conscious decision that I'm going to take up my stake daily and follow him? You just don't make that conscious decision without the information to say, this is what I want to do. See, a lot of people just think, oh, we're Israelite, I'm going to take up my stake. No, that's not how that works. Because every time you see the apostle preach to somebody, before them people got baptized, they had to hear the word first. Because you actually got to actually know what you're agreeing to. Remember when we talked about this? You get baptized, what have you effectively done? Say what? You've entered into a covenant and you've made a vow to saying, this is what I'm going to do. Remember what it said in Exodus 24? Everything in this covenant we will do. Well, you can't do that unless you got the information necessary to make that conscious decision. You ever heard people be like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really more so about the, indeed, it's really more so about the, we used to have this conversation all the time about the beast. Back in 2012, dudes be on Blog Talk, and they be like, he gonna force people to take the mark. No, he's not gonna force anybody to do anything. You're gonna have the applicable information, and you're gonna have to make a decision if you're gonna roll with that applicable information. See, of course, we know that through the text, because he said he gonna do what? He gonna teach these people. So you're gonna know what you're doing. See, a lot of people want to believe that you just gonna do something and you don't know what you're doing. You can't come to Yahuwah and not know what you're doing, because he said if you without understanding, you worthy of death. So if you got understanding, that means you know what you're doing. Why would somebody want somebody to serve him and they don't know what they're doing? So you just doing it. But that's how people believe the word. How many times you done heard people think this is a blind faith? How many times have you ever heard that those words put together? Well, this is not a blind faith. A blind faith means you don't have any idea why you're doing what you're doing. What it is you labor for that which you don't see. You believe, so therefore you move based on what was promised to you. That's not blind, because he's telling you, this is what I'm going to give you, and this is what I require, and this, that, and the third. You say, what about you? Well, you could have asked that out loud. Obviously. So they want to know, what about the kids? Man, F them kids. Not for real. So if they get baptized early, do they have? No, they don't have to do it again if they get baptized correctly, meaning that the parents heard the proper word to make the decision to immerse them. Now, you don't have to. I done told people before, you baptize your children. You ain't got to do it. You know what I'm saying? You know, we went through that in Leviticus as far as the estimation, and also if you look at that when they walk through the Red Sea. Joanne, you better cut it out. Or you can come over here with me. So you got to think about that, right? Because we talked about that before. When they came across the Red Sea, the children got baptized too. You know what I'm talking about? Because it told you it was 600,000 men, not counting women and children. The women got baptized too. And if you want to take it any further, when Yahushua, son of Nun, took them through the Jordan River in the land, the children got baptized also. The children got baptized because the parents got baptized, because the parents the one bringing them into faith. But if you're dealing with people that ask, like, if you got baptized in the name of Jesus, but the doctrine was trash, then yeah, you probably gonna need to do that again. And if you were baptized in the name of Yahushua, the doctrine was trash, you probably gonna have to do that again. What I mean what is trash, meaning useless as forth as what baptism is for. Because if the gospel of Yahushua wasn't preached to you, then you didn't even know why you were getting baptized. Most people got baptized because they told you that's what you're supposed to do, and not actually getting the applicable information necessary to make a conscious decision that I'm going to die to my flesh and die to the world and live under Alahym. If you ain't giving the proper information, you just went and got wet. You know what I'm saying? Just to be honest, because Quran did put it in the chat, right? In Acts 8, when the Ruach took Philip to the eunuch, and the eunuch was reading Isaiah, and the eunuch said, hey man, this talking about himself or some other man. And he said, man, he asked him, do you understand what you're reading? And you know what this Ethiopian eunuch response was? How can I, except some man guide me? See, he didn't think like other people. God, my teacher. He said, shoot. He said, no, I ain't got nobody to show me. And then Philip began to open up the text for him. And then when he opened up the text as forth as the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, Philip said, the dude asked, what will hinder me to be baptized? Philip's response was, do you believe that Yahushua, the son of Alahym? He like, yeah. He said, there goes some water right there. Can we go? He said, come on. That's why if somebody come and say they want to be baptized and you've been sitting and hearing the word, you know what I'm talking about? Then I can't tell you, because some people tell you, nah, I'll baptize you later. You ain't ready. The people in the book never did that. You know what I'm saying? If you heard the gospel and you say you believe, then they baptize you. And see, I can't tell you if you believe or not. I can't be like, I don't think Leisha believe for real. I ain't gonna baptize her. She say she do. That's on her. She heard the word. Simple as that. It's the same token that people tell you if they baptize you, you got to join their congregation. That's not in the word. The men went around baptizing all type of people. They ain't say, oh, you got to be in my congregation, which, of course, that's what the contention was in that Corinthians letter. I forget which chapter it is. I want to say chapter 3. When the people were arguing, talking about, I'm of Paul, and I'm of Apollos, and I'm of Cephas. You know what I'm saying? Because those were the people who baptized them. But see, you ain't another. It don't matter if I baptize you, you not of me, because I didn't die for you. You know what I'm talking about? And you ain't a part of my assembly because it ain't mine. That's what people get the game twisted at. Shalom, Sister Maya. That's what people get the game twisted at. That's not how it goes. That's like Quran just said he believed and then he got baptized. You got people who just bring people to stuff and say you should get baptized. That's somebody who's going to have to get baptized again. You know what I'm saying? Because you just went and got, because you didn't know what you were doing. How can you enter into a covenant agreement and you don't understand the covenant that you're entering into? Well, y'all probably ain't. It's not all contracts, but I know first and foremost, say if you're dealing with the court, let's say, like, take this example because I know they say this out loud. Say you go to court, you take a plea agreement, right? They will ask you in open court, has anybody coerced you? Do you understand? Because a plea agreement is basically a contract. You are making an agreement with the state is making an agreement with you. And they're going to ask you, do you understand what it is that you're doing? Because, see, if you don't understand what you're doing, then the contract is void. You know what I'm saying? That's why they ask that. Now, see, now a lot of businesses, they don't ask you if you understand contracts, so they don't care. If they done gave you a contract and it's beneficial to them and it's going to screw you over, then they don't care. That's why if you get contracts, you ought to read them. You know what I'm saying? And really, you ought to read them with your attorney, depending on what type of contract it is and what you're getting involved with. Because just because you can read don't mean you know what you read. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up and down, when you talking about contracts and all that type of stuff, you don't know what you read. So you dealing with Yahuwah and you dealing with his covenant, that's a contract. So that's why you get the gospel preached to you, because now you understand what you agreeing to. If you don't understand what you agreeing to, how can you fulfill the terms and obligations of the contract? You can't. Now, see, the thing with Yahuwah is, whether you understood what you was agreeing to or not, he's still going to hold you accountable to these words in this contract. So it's better for you to know, because you might hear the contract and be like, you know what? I don't want to do this. You still going to hell either way, but you know what I'm saying? At least you make a conscious decision to go to hell on your own. Come on, Sid. Read verse 1 again, Numbers chapter 6.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, and say unto them, when neither man or woman shall separate to vow a vow of a Nazarite to separate unto Yahuwah, he shall separate. Notice from that wine, he said man or who? Or woman. Okay. He shall separate from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink. Neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dried. All the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk. All the days of the vow of his separation, there shall no razor come upon his head, until the days be fulfilled, in the which he separate unto Yahuwah. He shall be Kadash, and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow.
Tell me what fulfilled mean, man.
That's small a, to fill, to be full.
To be complete. Days of his separation and Kadash, and that's just on general principle. I know y'all know these words.
Can we keep going?
Say what?
Want me to keep going?
No, tell me what the word means. Days of separation and Kadash, and what you just read.
Ace is John. Which is separate. That's Nazar, to dedicate, to consecrate, to separate.
You see that? Nazar, that's the dedicate. See, that's what's going again when we talk about the kingdom of Alahym is not in word, but in power. Because you would need to dedicate yourself. And since you said that, and we've already mentioned that, we're going to go back to another instance with that. Continue.
All the days that he separate unto Yahuwah, he shall come at no dead body. He shall not make himself unclean for his father, or for his mother, for his brother, or for his sister, when they die, because the consecration of his Alahym upon his head.
Now you can see why he say, let the dead bury the dead. Because once you done decide to separate yourself, you ain't got no time to be fooled up with nothing unclean. Which is why he say, what fellowship the Mashiach had with Belial. You ain't got no time for that. Go ahead.
All the days of his separation, he is Kadash unto Yahuwah. And if any man die very suddenly by him, and he have defiled the head of his consecration, then he shall shave his head in the day of his cleansing. On the 7th day shall he shave it. And on the 8th day he shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons to the priest to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering.
That's good. Go back to 2 Chronicles chapter 7. Tell me what verse 11 say. After that, John chapter 2. I'm still holding Matthew 23.
Thus,
and then we'll swing back to Proverbs 31.
Thus Solomon finished the house of Yahuwah in the king's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of Yahuwah and in his own house, he prosperously effected. And Yahuwah appeared to Solomon by night and said unto him, I have heard your prayer, and have chosen this place to myself for a house of sacrifice. Mm-hmm. If I shut up Shamahim, let there be no rain.
Back it up, son, man. Back it up to verse 7. That's what I need. Hey, y'all be quiet back there. Sit down and be quiet. Turn around, Malik.
Moreover, Solomon hollowed the middle of the court that was before the house of Yahuwah. For there he offered burnt offerings and the fat of the peace offerings, because the brazen altar which Solomon had made was not able to receive the burnt offerings and the meat offering and the fat. Also at the same time, Solomon kept the feast 7 days, and all Yasharal with him, a very great congregation, from the entering in of Hamath unto the river of Egypt. And in the 8th day they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days.
They kept the dedication of the what?
Altar 7 days, and the feast 7 days.
And the feast 7 days.
And on the 23rd day of the 7th month.
That's good. Tell them what dedication means, man.
That's kanukah, that's dedication of consecration.
Again, a consecration. So this is the day that the house was consecrated or set apart unto Yahuwah. So let's go to John chapter 2, verse 13.
And the Yahudim's Passover was at hand, and Yahushua went up to Jerusalem and found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves and the changers of money sitting. And when he made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep and oxen, and poured out the changers' money and overthrew the tables.
Go ahead.
And said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence, make not my Abba's house a house of merchandise.
That's right.
And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of your house have eaten me up.
Go ahead.
Then answered the Yahudim and said unto him, what sign show you unto us, seeing that you do these things?
He said, what?
What sign show you unto us, seeing that you do these things?
And what he say?
Yahushua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple. And
destroy what?
Destroy this temple.
And what he'll do?
In 3 days I will raise it up.
How many days?
3 days I will raise it up.
Go ahead.
Then said the Yahudim, 46 years was this temple in building, and will you rear it up in 3 days? But he spake of the temple of his body.
Give me Amos 9 and 5. Now, when he say he's speaking of the temple of his body, that means he's consecrated his body because he is about to perform a palah, a separation by a distinguishing act. This is where his power comes from. See, you know what a lot of people don't really want to realize, and we can read it in 2 Corinthians 13, because remember he said his strength is made perfect in what? In weakness. The power of Alahym rested on Mashiach because of his ability to humble himself. But see, a lot of individuals not going to see it that way because everybody want to be so tough. It's always funny to me that all these dudes out here is so tough and none of you niggas is killers. You niggas ain't even tough. You niggas ain't known for fighting nobody. You ain't known for stabbing nobody. You ain't known for defending nobody. You ain't known for shooting nobody. Because the dudes who tough don't act like this. They don't. You know what I'm saying? You know I ain't lying. It's only a few so crazy niggas that's tough that act like this. But them niggas just don't care. When you actually been around somebody who really tough, they only feel the need to intimidate somebody to get what they want. They not trying to intimidate nobody by convincing you how tough they are. They already know what they gonna do to you. It's you that don't know what he gonna do. You know what I'm talking about? Because he willing to take it. A lot of people not willing to take it there. You're not that tough. So when you get faced with a situation, and I mentioned that because Yahusha had all the power to take these people out and didn't exercise it. I keep mentioning that instance with Peter for a reason. Remember what he told him. Come on, man. This man Peter cut a man's ear off. He put the man's ear back on and say, bro, you know I could get legions of Malachim, brother, take these people out? He said, but how the scripture gonna be fulfilled? See, the power was not in the fact that he could kill the people. His power was in his restraint because he trusted in his father's word. Most of us not gonna do that. If you know you could call on Yahuwah to take some people out or suffer what they're going to do to you so you can get a greater reward later, what you going to do? The average person, kill him. Because you don't got that, you really don't believe that he going to reward you like that. So you're going to let your flesh take over and say, I want vengeance. Not knowing your vengeance going to come on the back end. Because we all know what Psalm 58 say. What he say you going to do? Wash your feet in their blood. He said, this is for all those that the righteous might know that there's a reward. Man, don't you know how long the people had to labor in Egypt before they got to see the vengeance of Yahuwah? And guess what they didn't do? They didn't lay a hand on an Egyptian. Yahuwah did it. They didn't have to do nothing. You don't think it was some warriors amongst the men at that time? We know that because they were fighting in the wilderness. Yahushua son of Nun was murking niggas. They was out there warring in the wilderness. You know, a lot of brews don't like to talk about the wars y'all fought before you got in the land, because you definitely went head up against Amalek, and you damn sure went up against Moab. You know what I'm talking about? And you know why? Because them people didn't want to get a land to you. You know, it's the funny part that brews don't be paying attention to. The text tell you that all the countries around Egypt heard what happened. They all heard what happened. And they say, boy, here them boys come. So they thinking in their mind, boy, shoot, they God is a gangster. Boy, we got to get rid of these people, boy. We got to get rid of these people. They coming to take what's ours. Y'all just thought they was like, yay, here come these Israelites. And it wasn't because they were Israelites that they had a problem with you. It was Yahuwah. You not that special and you not that important for somebody to hate you. If somebody hates you in your regular life, it ain't because that's some stuff between you and them. More so them than you, more than likely. Unless you done something to them. You know what I'm saying? If you dealing with the word, them people hate you. Who are them people don't hate you? You ain't that important. What make you think you that important for somebody to hate you? Because you serve God. They hated God before you started serving. If it wasn't you that hated it, was going to be somebody else who was doing it. Come on, Sam.
Yahuwah Alahym of hosts is he that touched the land, and it shall melt, and all that dwell therein shall mourn, and it shall rise up wholly like a flood, and shall be drowned.
This is Amos 9:5, he read.
He that built his stories in Shamahim, and hath founded his troop in the earth, he that called for the waters of the sea, and poured them out upon the face of the earth, Yahuwah his name. Not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Yasharal, saith Yahuwah, have not I brought up Yasharal out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker. Behold, the eyes of Yahuwah Alahym upon the sinful kingdom.
His eyes are where?
Upon the sinful kingdom.
And what he gonna do to it?
I will destroy it from off the face of the earth.
Thus saving.
That I would not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith Yahuwah.
For lo,
I will command, and I will sift the house of Yasharal among all nations.
Like what?
As corn is sifted from in a sieve.
Shall not.
The least grain fall upon the earth.
So when he tell you he gonna sift them, you know, that's that conversation like you talking about with the wheat and the tares. All the sinners
of my people shall die by the sword.
They shall die by the what?
By the sword.
When they say
the evil shall not overtake nor prevent it.
See, we don't want to deal with that. You not understand that you're gonna have people, Yasharal, that's gonna be like, oh nah, God ain't gonna do nothing to me. I'm an Israelite. Or he ain't gonna do nothing because he ain't gonna do nothing. Oh nah, you gonna die, nigga. As you ought. Continue.
And that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David.
He
that
gonna
is
do
fallen.
what?
Raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen.
Tell him what fallen means.
That's in the fall, to lie down, to be cast down, to fail.
To be cast down. If you remember what it said in Isaiah, they said they cast the truth down to the ground. They cast this man to the ground. Go ahead.
And close up the breaches thereof.
Tell him what close up the breaches mean.
Close up is gadar, that's to wall up, to wall off, to close off, to build a wall.
To build a wall.
Then breaches is paret, a breach, a gap, a bursting forth.
Well, what's the gap? What's bursting forth that he got a wall up? You say Yahuwah's ear is not heavy that he cannot hear, nor is his arm shortened that he cannot save. It's your iniquities that your God has not heard and that he cannot save. So he's telling you this tabernacle that's fallen is coming to close up what separated you from your God, so you can be joined unto him. Go ahead.
And I will raise up his ruins. And
Tell him what raise up his ruins mean.
Raise up his kum, that's to arise, to stand, to rise up. That's to strengthen, succeed.
And ruins?
That's harisa, that's ruin, something demolished.
So he gonna strengthen that which is demolished, or rise up that which is demolished. And go ahead and he'll build it as what?
As in the days of old.
Tell him what build is. It should be Banah, but we'll see.
Yep, Banah. To build, to rebuild, to establish.
To rebuild and establish. Now, we mentioned something in 1 Samuel 11 yesterday. He said he was going to do what with the kingdom? No, he said he was going to renew it, repair it, make it new. You know what I'm talking about? So he's sitting here telling you what he did to this temple. He going to rebuild it after he's demolished it. Remember what he said, tear down this temple and I'll raise it up in 3 days. So as I come back to Matthew chapter 23, and I'm in verse 23. He said, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay the tithe of mint, anise, and cumin, and have omitted the weightier of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought you have done, and to not leave the other undone. So again, it's leaving out, when you're dealing with judgment, mercy, and faith, you're dealing with everything that make Yahuwah Yahuwah. So when you look at it, when it say it's the weightier, tell them what weightier is in the Greek right there. Listen.
That's Baruch, that's that which is heavy in weight. Burdensome.
That which is heavy in weight. Why is this heavier in weight? Because this is who Yahuwah is. What people like to say, I don't want to have surface conversations. I want to go in depth. Most people don't really have deep conversations with people because you don't have a deep conversation with your damn self. I'm dead serious. Most people just think that time I want to have deep conversations. Let's talk about aliens. It's not having a deep conversation. That's what people be saying, though. You didn't want to randomly talk conspiracy theories and all that other type of stuff. That's not having a deep conversation. You just talking about something that interests you. And you're hoping that other people are interested in it also. That's all that is. What's deep about a conspiracy theory? Not a damn thing. You know how I know? I spent my entire teens and early 20s having these type of conversations with myself and others. Ain't nothing deep about it. That's not complexity of an individual. But when you're dealing with the deep things of Alahym, get him 1 Corinthians chapter 2, man, verse 5. That's deep because you're going, see, most people only want to deal with the surface. What is the surface? His law. That's it. That's all you want to scratch. Now, then you say weightier meant burdensome? Mm-hmm. That means that's a responsibility. Boy, you capped out, boy. You always capped out. That boy said you took his strength from him when you shaved off his hair. He ain't been the same. You better take the nigga out the door. Get him together. Come on with it, man.
That your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of Alahym.
1 Corinthians 2 and 5. Make it verse 4 then.
In my speech and my preaching, not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration of the Ruach and of power,
The ruach and the what?
Of power.
That your faith might be what?
Should not stand in the wisdom of men.
But in who?
The power of Alahym.
The power of Alahym.
Howbeit we speak in wisdom.
Now pause for a second, right? Remember when we talking about the fruits of the Spirit, that show forth the power of God. How do the fruits of the Spirit show forth the power of God? How does it do that? What is that? Does anybody have any idea how the fruits of the Ruach show forth the Koach of Alahym, his strength and his might? How does it do it? Well, it's simple. When Paul finished enumerating on the fruits of the Ruach, what did he say about them? Against such there is no law. Now pause for a moment and go to Hebrews chapter 2 and pick it up at verse 9. You can make it 6. Hebrews 2 and 6.
But one in a certain place testified, saying,
hold on, Quran.
What is man that you are mindful of him, or the son of man that you visit him? You made him a little lower than the Malachim.
Made him a little lower than the who?
The Malachim.
For what purpose?
You crowned him with esteem and honor, and did set him over the works of your hands. You have put all things in subjection under his feet. For that he put all in subjection under him, he left nothing not put under him. But now we see not yet all things put under him. But we see Yahusha, who was made a little lower than the Malachim.
For the what?
Suffering of death.
For the suffering of what?
Of death.
That he might do what?
Crowned with esteem and honor, that he by the grace of Alahym should taste death for every man.
Taste death for who?
Every man.
What else?
For it became him, for whom all things and by whom all things, and bringing many sons unto esteem, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through suffering.
He made him perfect through what?
Through suffering.
Now what's the next thing he finna tell you?
For both he that sanctify and they who are sanctified.
All of what?
One.
For which cause?
He is not ashamed to call them brethren.
What else?
Saying, I will declare your name unto my brethren. In the midst of the assembly will I sing praise unto you.
That's right.
And again I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children which Alahym has given me.
Go ahead.
For as much then as children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had the power of death.
Through what?
Through death.
He might destroy him who had what?
Power of death.
That is
the devil.
God, I meant to get the John 16:7 the other day and didn't do it. So let's get it now. So what do you see? What is the power of Alahym? See, the fruits of the Ruach show forth the power of Alahym, because when they're present, death is defeated. And they show forth the power of God. Remember, the fruits of the Ruach are the produce of the word, which is the power of Alahym. It's partaking in his divine power. See, we want to show power as far as being able to do miracles. You want to heal somebody. See, that go past his power. What is healing? That's a gift. You know what I'm talking about? See, the passage is in my brain right now at this moment, right? I know it's in Isaiah 48:1, I believe. Where he said they swear by the name of Yahuwah, but not in truth and righteousness. Then, of course, you know, in another place, it's Isaiah 29, you know, the Lord talk about it. And it's in Isaiah 6, you know, but those are two different things. One's for the people, one for the teachers. But he say, man, this people heart is far from me. And he told you this in Ezekiel. He said, they come to you as my people come, and they hear your words, but they won't do them, because their heart go after their covetous. He said, they show fair words. He tell you this in Psalm. They show fair words, but their heart is far from me. So when he's telling you that the kingdom of Alahym is not in word, it's not about how many precepts you know. It's not about how many doctrines you can teach. That's not where the power of Alahym rests at. His kingdom is not set in just some words. That's why dudes like the law so much, because all you got to do is talk. But when you're dealing with his power, oh yeah, man, you got to been actually did what Mashiach did, put that stake on your shoulder, boy. You're going to have to go make that sacrifice, boy. And then making that sacrifice, then of course you're going to show the benefits of making said sacrifice, because that word should produce something, because this man's spirit should be in you. How the man word in you and his spirit ain't in you? See, those two things don't go together. If his spirit ain't in you, that means his word ain't in you. And when I say it ain't in you, that means you ain't laid it up in your mind. That means you didn't make you a new one where you had the mind of God. You still kept yours. You kept yours, but you know a few precepts. That's all. Let me see what Quran say. Always work to show that we are new creatures, reborn in him, able to put the flesh to death and walk in his character and nature. Indeed, that's what those fruits show. But it shows more than anything that you believe the word. You know what I'm talking about? So because you believe the word, now you have access to his divine power. As Peter put it. What I got you at, man?
John 16.
John 16:7, because I mentioned this yesterday and we didn't read it.
Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away. For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you.
And the reason why we need to look, because you already know what happened on this day. The Ruach was given. And Luke 24, what he told him? He told him to remain in Jerusalem till they be endued with power from on high. See, I'm going to tell you something. You know what a key component of the power of God rests at? It rests in one thing. And what you believe that one thing is? Faith. That's where the power of God rests at. Every man who had power with Yahuwah in this book, that's what they had. Everybody who didn't, they ain't had no power with God. At the end of the day, he said with Jacob, right, your name is Yasharal, and you got power with Alahym and man. Moses got power with Yahuwah because of his faith. Yahushua, son of Nun, had power with Yahuwah because of his faith. Where there's no faith, there is no power. How you going to have power with Alahym and you don't believe his word? That's impossible. I've been people ask me all the time, why people ain't healing and this, that, there, and the third, because you nigga don't believe the word. That's why. For some nigga, they want to see somebody be like, take up your bed and walk. Oh, I believe now. You seen that? Some of them want the power so they can try to work it to bring some esteem to themselves. Be 100% honest with you. You know what I'm talking about? This must have already been in my pocket because I don't know where this came from.
Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away.
Mm-hmm.
For if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him unto you. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin.
He will reprove the world of what?
Of sin.
And what else?
Of righteousness and of judgment.
What's that?
Of sin because they believe not on me.
Of sin because they what?
Believe not on me.
What else?
Of righteousness because I go to my Abba and you see me no more.
You see me no more.
Of judgment because the prince of this world is judged. I have yet many things to say unto you. But
do y'all not realizing what he just stated? Read it again about verse 8.
And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. Of sin because they believe not on me.
What else?
Of righteousness because I go to my Abba and you see me no more.
What else?
Of judgment because the prince of this world is judged.
What do y'all think he just said? He just said three things, didn't he? He just told you loving kindness, righteousness, and truth. He just told you the aspects of his character, why he got to go away. Because when he go away to reprove the world of sin, it's going to show his loving kindness. It's going to show his mercy. You know what I'm saying? It's going to show his graciousness. That's what he just told you. He just told you in this aspect of him going away so the Ruach could come, you will see the manifestation that he is Exodus 34:6. Read it for him again from verse 8.
And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. Of sin because they believe not on me. Of righteousness because I go to my Abba and you see me no more. Of judgment because the prince of this world is judged. I have yet many things to say unto you, but you cannot bear them now.
You can't take them right now. That's good. So let's come back to Proverbs 31. You wasn't holding nothing else. I done read Matthew 23, so I ain't got to read no more. Because I said we finished this back end thing of what he was talking about. So let's take a look at it. In Proverbs 31, you can pick it up at verse 1 one more time.
The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. What my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows, give not your strength unto woman, nor your ways that which destroy kings.
It is not for kings, O Lemuel.
Not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink.
We just talked about that. Now go back to Matthew 26:26 and just look at what the Lord said.
And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and baruch and brake and gave to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave to them, saying, drink you all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
Go ahead.
But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Abba's kingdom.
What's the biggest reason why this man can't go in there and he can't drink no wine? What's the biggest reason? That is correct. You cannot. You cannot drink strong drink before you go into the veil and the tabernacle of the congregation, into the Kadash of the Kadash. Can't do it. He told Aaron them that, but you can't sip no wine and no strong drink when you come in here, man. Now, why is this important? Because Mashiach is of the priesthood of Melchizedek. He is king and priest on his throne. So it's not for kings to get drunk, nor is it for the priest to come and get drunk. I mentioned Isaiah 16:1. We didn't read it. Go ahead and get it real quick. After that, Hebrews chapter 7.
Send you the lamb to the rulers of the land from Selah to the wilderness unto the mount of the daughter of Zion. For it shall be as a wandering bird cast out of the nest. The daughters of Moab shall be at the fords of Arnon. Take counsel, execute judgment, make his shadow as the night in the midst of noonday. Hide the outcast, bewray him not him that wandered. Let my outcast dwell with you, Moab. Be you a covert to them from the face of the spoiler.
From the face of the spoiler.
For the extortioners at an end, the spoilers cease, the oppressors are consumed out of the land. And in mercy shall the throne be established.
Oh, there we go. That's what we wanted. In mercy shall the what?
Throne be established.
Said mercy shall the what?
Throne be established.
And he that sit upon it in what?
In truth.
In the what?
In the tabernacle of David.
What he gonna be doing?
Judging and seeking judgment.
And hasting what?
Righteousness.
So look at it, what he just said. What did he say his throne would be established by?
Mercy.
Unbelievable. And of course, when you know the law well enough, you already know what the throne of Yahuwah is literally called. It's called the mercy seat. So again, this is showing you through the law and the prophets that the mercy has never been in the law. It's always been with Yahuwah, and he's declared that, and nobody seems to understand that. And that's why because my man told me this happened when he did it, after I told him this, and he shared that with his people. If we was to go on a traveling trip and found as many brews that we could find, and we told them that Yahuwah is not defined by his law, them niggas would be ready to fight. You know what I'm talking about? And they'll be ready to fight for just what we read in John 17:24. Righteous Abba, the world have not known you. They don't know the man. So that's why they think pork chops and Sabbath days is who he is. They ain't even got enough common sense to see they literally call the man throne a mercy seat. Matter of fact, get it for him. Exodus 25. Shalom, Brother Demetrius. We still holding Proverbs 31. We got Hebrews 7 on deck. Notice that he said that he's going to be hastening judgment, and judgment and righteousness. He pretty much told you what's in Matthew 23:23, what's in Jeremiah 9:24, and the essence of who Yahuwah is in Exodus 34. And see, I got that because of what's in Proverbs about a divine judgment come from the king. So when you're dealing with what's in the king's office, and he showed him the manner of the king or the judgment of the king's office, these are the things that make up the king's office. So if you say you a king and you lack judgment, mercy, and faith, you a liar and the truth ain't in you. Because this is what the king has to possess. And you know the first king that really get credit for doing that, but he ain't really the one to get credit for it. That's Solomon, what he did with that baby. But David did it his whole rulership. He did it the whole time he was on the throne. David and Solomon is your biggest examples, and then you could throw Jehoshaphat and Hezekiah in behind them and Josiah behind them. You know what I'm talking about? As forth is doing that. Because that is what, remember, he said he sat down and showed them the manner of the king's office and put it in a book. And what did we read yesterday? That the king is supposed to have the book of the law before him. So the book is supposed to show him how a king is supposed to behave. See, this is the worst part. Especially when a lot of dudes, I'm a king. Now, we got to keep it real now. Kings rule. So you have to understand that. A king ain't got no partner. They'd be like, I'm the queen. Queens don't rule with the king. That has never happened in any kingdom ever. The queen just happens to be a regal royal title for the king's wife. And you know how we know this? Because we talked about this before. When Queen Elizabeth married her husband, he did not become King, whatever the hell his name was. I can't remember. Yeah, he did not become King Philip. He did not become King Philip. But the minute King Charles, who was already married to Camille, she became queen. Well, she didn't become because they don't believe in divorce over there. Ain't that something? Them people don't believe in divorce. Because the Catholics hold to that real tough. They don't believe in that. They don't believe in none of that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of fact, it's difficult. You could get kicked out the Catholic Church if you go get a divorce and they find out about it. They'll put you out. You know what I'm saying? And of course, when you're dealing with the British throne, they're not allowed to get divorced, but they make provisions for it because it's embarrassing. Yeah, that's why he got stripped, because he was like, no, I want to marry this chick over here. They were like, no, nigga. He gave up his throne to be with this woman. He a damn fool. Because I'm not finna give up royal rulership for no broad. Oh, no, that nigga's crazy. That's the same thing Diana's son did. I don't want to be Prince no more. I want to be with Meghan Markle. You're a damn fool. You know what I'm saying? You's a damn fool. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was his daddy, I'd look at this nigga, I'd have bust you upside the head with a bottle. But she ain't black. She ain't black. That's a Caucasian woman with a little bit of tan. That's what that is. That's what they say. That means she, and they probably light-skinned Jamaican. She good and white. And I know some people hear that. Come on, man. That's the same thing that Esau did. Well, you gave up the throne for some beans. But guess what, though? It's a lot of people going, because he told you, right? You're going to be able to sit on the throne with him, right? It's a lot of people going to give up the throne for liquor, reefer, the club, beating they meat, porn, whoremongering, idol God. They going to give it up. A crown. There's some people right now in the word, man. They'll forsake Yahuwah to keep their wife. Boy, I'm gonna kick that bald-headed heifer out my house, boy. Well, I can't lose dominion for some coochie. Just to keep somebody around. You got to really look at it like that. And I'm saying that on the natural side of how dumb that is. You got a chance to be the king. And you say, I don't want to be the king because I love her. You're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? And they put that stuff in movies like that's noble. And that's what make women believe in their mind that men should stoop jackass stuff like that. I'm not doing that. If I got a choice, well, if you know they're treating me wrong, I think you ought to give up your right to the throne. You know what? I think I need to give up my rights to you. You can go. Because I'm not giving that up. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I'm not giving that up is not for the ability to be the king or the wealth. You're asking me to divest myself from the lineage that I come from. As a man, why would you want to divest yourself from the lineage and inheritance that your father has for you? That makes no sense. That don't even make no sense. Imagine if Yahushua did that and say, you know what, I know I'm supposed to get up here on this tree, but I love this woman so much, I don't want to be separated from her. So I'm going to divest all. He didn't even divest his rulership, power, and riches for no woman. He did it for his name. He ain't do that for no woman. That's insane, man. Don't you know once you do that, that woman got all power and rule over you? And I'm only mentioning all that because what does that take you back to? King Lemuel. Don't give your strength unto women. Didn't it say wealth for the what that word for strength with Kyle? Yeah, don't give all your wealth away, baby. Don't live your life like that. You know what I'm saying? Which of course, you know, you it's different. You know, back then they could you can't do what you do now. You say, you know, now a woman get divorced, she take all your bread. That wasn't like that back then. You give her a little stipend and send her on her way. You know what I'm saying? You look at a woman, she'll see you and be like, oh, he got some money. He ever do something I don't like, I'm going to leave him and take my money. If she got that type of thought, that's an evil bastard. You know what I'm talking about? You're an evil bastard. If it come in your mind, the best way you think to get at this man is to take what he worked for. You ain't hitting on nothing. You damn sure ain't no good woman. You know what I'm talking about? I can tell you that. You're for certain ain't no wife. If that pop in your brain, that's what you're going to do. I'm going to take all this wealth. Oh, no, that's not good. That's not good at all. But you know what funny? My man said this the other day, said Rihanna don't want to marry A$AP Rocky because she don't want to lose her money. If that was a dude, they would have ran that man through the coals. You know what I'm talking about? But I ain't mad at her. I understand. Who that was with me we was in this very building, man. Over there on the other side, it was a white woman in there. Boop, I think you was in there with a white woman, and we was in a networking event. That white woman was so mad that she had to give half her money to her husband, and she had to pay alimony. That woman was enraged. I just looked at her in the face and said, "Well, baby, you know, now you get to understand what men deal with." That woman was upset. I done told you this before. Imagine paying a woman, you done pitch your whole life building something, right? She take everything you got, at least half of it, take your house while another man is busting up her back in your house that you might still be paying for. Because they'll make men get divorced, take the house, give it to the woman, and still make this nigga pay the mortgage. Can you imagine somebody taking your house and you don't live in it and you got to pay for a house that you can't even live in while another man is crashing your wife? I'm killing everybody. That's I'm talking about, you could understand why somebody would want to kill everybody. This nigga in here running up in your wife in your house that you paying for. And you cut her a check for alimony every month. Child support, I don't care nothing about that. Hopefully you take care of your children, you know what I'm saying, without the court making you do it. But if you get divorced, the court gonna make you do it. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be tough, man. That's a hard. You know, the hardest part is not even what you're paying. It's the fact that you know another man is crashing your wife in your house. You know what I'm saying? You go pick up your kids, this nigga answering the door with no shirt on. What's going on, brother? You like this here? I'm gonna stab this nigga. No, man, come on, man. Where you at, Sid?
You got me at Exodus 25.
Exodus 25:1.
And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Yasharal, that they bring me an offering of every man that giveth willingly with his heart. You shall take my offering, and this the offering which you shall take of them: gold and silver and brass, blue and purple and scarlet and fine
Drop down
linen.
to verse 10. We don't need to read.
And they shall make an ark of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half the length thereof, and 1.5 cubits the breadth thereof, and 1.5 cubits the height thereof.
It's dealing with the Ark of the Covenant. I just wanted him to start with that so you can hear it. You can drop down to verse 16.
You shall put it in. You shall put into the ark of the testimony which I shall give you, or the testimony which I shall give you. You shall make a mercy seat, pure gold.
You shall make a what?
A mercy seat, pure gold.
Tell them what that word for mercy seat is, man. It's been a while since we talked about that.
Kapareth, a mercy seat, a place of atonement.
A place of what?
Of atonement.
So that's why the mercy seat is called that, because it's a place of atonement. It's a place of atonement. And where's the mercy seat at? It's on the top of the Ark of the Covenant. Where's the Ark of the Covenant at? Behind the veil, or in the Kadash of the Kadash. And who the only person who could go in there to it? And how you gonna go before God drunk? You know what I'm talking about? That don't even make sense. You king and priest on your throne, and you tipsy going to holler at Yahuwah. Hey, Abba, I know I've been drinking a little bit. I'm a little bit. And what he told you, what happened when you go to drink and you air and vision? You're going to make a mistake. You're going to vomit on his table. Come on with it, man.
You shall make 2 cherubims of gold, beaten work that you shall make them.
You skipped over a few things, but it's okay. Here in verse 18.
You shall make 2 cherubims of gold, beaten work, shall you make them, and the 2 ends of the mercy seat. And
make 1 cherub
on the one end, another cherub on the other end.
Of the mercy seat shall
you make the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof.
And the cherubim shall stretch
forth wings on high,
covering
the mercy seat.
With what?
Their wings.
And their face?
One to another.
Towards what?
The mercy seat.
The faces of the cherubims be. And what you gonna do with the mercy seat?
You shall put the mercy seat above upon the ark.
Pause. Now see that insert? I want you to understand something. Where he say you gonna put the mercy seat at?
Above.
Put it above what?
Upon the ark.
Where you put the mercy seat at?
Above upon the ark.
What does that mean? That means Yahuwah above the law. That's what that means. That means Yahuwah greater than the law. Because that's all that's in the Ark of the Covenant is the tables of the stone. It ain't nothing but the commandments on them 2 tables of stone. That's all that's in there. So when he tell you put the mercy seat above the ark, he telling you that he is above the law, that he is not defined by that, and that the law wasn't for him, it's for you. And he was setting up to show you that because I'm above the law, that I can make an atonement for you through this seat that the law can't give you. See, people want to hear that. Now they're like, you sound like a Christian. You sound like a jackass who talking about something that you don't know what you're talking about. Sit down and shut your mouth. You know what I'm talking about? Because you leading people wrong. That's why they don't know the man. We know full well, you damn fool. You supposed to keep this man instructions. That's a given. But you talk about him all day long and you don't keep them. Man, if you hear how some of these brutes talk to each other, I'd hate to see how they do niggas on the street when ain't nobody looking. Come on, that's why I mentioned that dude. Nigga, you toking up your old lady, bro, because she left you? If you leave me at the doggone bus station, nigga, you ain't got to worry about it. When I get to the house, I'm either leaving or you leaving. Because if you can leave me stranded somewhere with no way home, you don't give a damn about me. So that don't mean you don't need to stay here, or I don't need to live here till you get yourself together. See, some people think if you say I'm finna slide, that means you talking about divorce. No, I didn't need to slide. Because you need to get yourself together. Or I need to slide since I cuss you out or put a boot up in your behind. So let me just go ahead and just go over here. Because I'm not finna be around that. See, a lot of individuals believe that men just supposed to take whatever you give them. I'm not taking that. I'm finna go. Nigga, I stay in a hotel before I put up with this here. Man, I sleep in my car before I put up with this here. I'm not putting up with that. Man, don't you know if you leave anybody anywhere consciously, I ain't talking about you pulled off. You be like, damn, we left, bro. You're moving too fast. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about you know full well that nigga is in the bathroom. I'm finna go get in the car and leave. Knowing he ain't got no way home. Oh, you don't care about me. So I'm gonna show you what people who not cared about do. I'm gonna remove myself from that environment. You know what I'm talking about? And maybe you'll care about me when I'm gone. But maybe if it's true, I mean, the dude said he didn't work. Maybe she didn't care about him because he didn't work. He said he didn't work. That ain't what nobody posted and inferred. He said it. He said, I ain't got no job. He said, I ain't got to work. He basically said, this woman gonna take care of me till we get back to the land. He said, I ain't gotta work. But I'm gonna tell you, ain't no way. But I ain't finna choke the lady. One thing about it, boy, I don't want your vagina if you don't want to give it to me. I don't care if we married or not. You don't want to give it to me, that means you don't like me, so I don't want you neither. You know what I'm talking about? And really, truth be told, some stuff come down to, man, look here, as a man, you supposed to be like, well, shoot, you need to earn my penis. It is a mutual exchange. I don't know why people just act like sex, just this woman is giving you some great gift. This is a mutual exchange. You getting something, I'm getting something. So, nigga, hell no, you ain't finna treat me like this here. But I ain't finna take no vagina, boy. It ain't that serious, man. It ain't never that serious. I don't care if you've been married for 5 months or 15 years. Well, it ain't never no serious. But she don't want to give you no. You must don't like me then. So I'm just going to go ahead and just go somewhere else. And I'm talking when I say go somewhere else, I ain't talking about go to no another woman. I'm talking about I'm finna leave. Because you don't like me, I don't want to be here. You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to be where I ain't like it, ain't want it. I don't want to be here. One thing you should always remember in life, man, don't go nowhere where nobody don't like it. If you don't like me, then fine. I don't want to be around here. I told you that's why I couldn't live in the 60s, because I wouldn't have been doing no sit-ins. According to who kids? I don't know. She's a person. It's a domestic violence. I could believe it. I could believe it. I done told y'all that before. If this man putting his hands on you, you need to go. Damn. Yeah, you need to go. I ain't cutting nobody off from talking to their mom and all that joint. That's crazy. Ain't none of that joint this here. Just leave. When you got to do all that extra stuff, man, just leave. You ain't got to be doing all that, taking people all through all that extra stuff, man. Damn. Oh, you found the post in. Yeah, that junk was bad, man. I ain't kept reading it. I ain't look at it no more, but I told my dog shared that junk. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here? Yeah, man, I ain't finna be doing all that. All right, fine, baby. You don't like me, I'm finna dip. And I done told y'all ladies this before, and I'm gonna tell you again. Man, don't sit around and wait for no round two. If that nigga done squared up and punched you in your mouth, you need to go ahead and punch you a bus ticket somewhere else, man. I'm talking about if you don't know how to catch the city bus, you better learn. You know what I'm talking about? Stand right on out there. Matter of fact, they make it different now. You can actually dial a number right there on the bus stop thing. It'll tell you when it's coming. You ain't even got to learn how to read no bus schedule no more. You can just stand out there and they'll tell you to be a bus here in 10 minutes. But boy, you ain't supposed to be standing around there where a nigga make your face out of his personal punching bag. You know what I'm saying? This nigga slapping on, you need to go. I ain't telling you to go marry somebody else, but you need to get the hell up out of there, and you need to let it be known so that nigga can be examined. Because that junk is not cool, and you don't need to be choking your old lady up, snatching up again. When you do all that, that means you done lost complete control of yourself. As a man, you done lost complete control of yourself. You done got you are too emotionally invested in something that you don't need to be emotionally invested in, that you feel like you want to put your hands on this woman. That means you dealing with something else, and you need to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? You need to get that figured out. Because 9 times out of 10, unless a person is just extremely violent, a violent reaction is usually from dealing with something else that ain't got nothing to do with that other person. And because you angry and frustrated about this, you just decide that you're going to take that anger out on this person. That's why bullies and all that stuff, why people be beating people up. These people ain't just like that. This nigga mad because his daddy beating him at the house, so he want to beat on somebody else when he go to school. You know what I'm saying? Want to take that anger and aggression out on somebody else. But no, don't sit around with that. And same token go for y'all. Boy, I've been to you this, but if your old lady hit you, throw stuff at you, boy, you need to go. Because I'm not living like that. Remember I told you my homeboy said his old lady threw irons at him? First time she would have chunked the iron at me, boy, I'd have left. And never came back. I ain't married to you neither. This nigga said he woke up with a pistol to his face while he laying in the bed and she the one holding it. He think that junk cute. Nigga, that junk ain't cute. Because she worrying about if he was cheating on her. If you feel like a nigga cheating on you to the point you want to wake up and hold a gun to him and possibly catch you a homicide and go to prison for 10 to 15 years, you just need to go. Like there's no need to do all that. Maintain your self-respect and dignity. That's what people's problem is. You won't maintain your self-respect. So if the nigga was cheating on you, now what? What you gonna do about it? He done already slung to me. So what's shooting him gonna do? What's throwing stuff at him gonna do? What putting his hands on him gonna do? If this woman ain't listening to you and obeying you, then what beating her up gonna do? Just leave. It's just that simple. Just leave. You don't want to listen to what I gotta say? That's fine. I'm gonna go. Not finna be doing all that with you, man. You understand how short life is? I know you hear this cliche, but when people say that, meaning, well, you'll look up and the next thing you know, you'll be 45 years old and you'll be wondering where them 45 years went at. Some of you looked up and you were like, damn, I just graduated from high school. Now you're like, dang, now I'm 30. I got all these damn kids. They don't listen. See, Sade ain't there yet because she's still good and young. She can still remember high school. Barely. You don't remember? Nigga, you ain't about 22. You 24. Oh, my bad, cuz. My birthday just passed. I'm good and grown. Yeah, that was 6 years ago for you, huh? You wish you could go back? Why? You were popular in school? What school you went to? What school you went to? How Darnell Cookman small and that thing in the middle of the hood? You know what Darnell Cookman was when I was in? That's where the nigga churn went. Huh? Yeah, that was the alternative school when I was in school. Oh, I know it's been a magnet school for a while, but when I was in the 90s, that's where the niggas who didn't listen went. You know what I'm talking about? That's what they sent them to there. Matty V and Grandpa. That's what they sent all the nigga churn to. And when I say nigga churn, I ain't necessarily talking about black churn either. Yeah, like a one. I wouldn't send them to. That way you going. You don't like to listen and obey? They're like, we got something for you. You going over here. You know what I'm saying? Basically, it was a gladiator school. It was like you was getting ready. It's basically like they were getting ready for prison. Because that's how the environment was. You dealing with people from all different type of neighborhoods, and you done dropped them in this school, and they end up fighting every day, which is pretty much what you would run into if you went to a youth offender camp. Because they call youth offender camps in the state of Florida gladiator school, because you fight as soon as you get off the bus. And I mean, and that's not an exaggeration. The first chance you get somewhere, A loan away from a CEO, boy, somebody gonna size you to put your hands up, man. Let me see what you got. And it's not really the fact of that they want to fight, they want to see where your heart at. Because if you're a coward, you getting 8 all day long. I told you that stuff different with men, man. You come around men, man, certain stuff, dude want to see where your heart at. At the end of the day, it's the same thing Yahuwah do when he take you through tribulations and affliction. You want to see where your heart at. Because if you go in a room full of men and you weak, or you getting exposed. That's why when you hear men can't show weakness, it's detrimental to them if they do when they're dealing with other men. You know what I'm saying? See, you want him to show weakness because you think it's cute and tender, but that junk gonna cost him his life when he go outside the door. You know what I'm saying? Because most dudes ain't gonna know how to shut that off. You know what I'm talking about? I'm tender and open and vulnerable with my wife. Now you going out here with dudes and doing it. And they looking at you like, oh, this nigga's a pussy. We finna get it. You know what I'm saying? Can't do it. But y'all don't understand that because you don't face that when you go out the door. You know what I'm saying? Men are not going to interact with you like they interact with men. So you can't do that. Which, of course, is why Mashiach told his apostles, don't tell nobody what's going to happen to me. Remember when he told him, he said, hey, man, on the 3rd day, I'm going to be killed and raised again. What Peter did. Nah, this ain't going to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? Because the reaction is that's how a woman would react to her husband. Yeah, I'm going to go out here, man. We're going to go to war, man. That ain't going to happen to you. And you thinking everything you going to do. And he like this here, man, sit your behind down somewhere. You decide the things that be a man and not an Alahym. Man, it's got to go down. Relax, chill out. Because he's already resigned in his mind. I can take it. I can handle that. You know what I'm saying? Your man come home tell you, hey, man, these niggas finna kill me tomorrow. I'm calling the police. It don't matter who you call. I'm going around there. That stuff y'all just don't understand. You be like, why would you go around there and fight them dudes? Because if I don't, I can't live around here. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to give me hell every day I step out the door. I ain't going to be able to live around here. So I got to show them that I'm not a coward. That's why dudes be so wanting to show themselves to be so tough. Because you can't be seen to be no coward. Can't be seen that you running from confrontation. And guess what? Y'all engines don't get running for dudes who run from confrontation. I ain't necessarily talking about somebody who's just a scrapper, but every time there's something that he got to face and he doing this here, that's not attractive. You don't look at that and say, shoot, I sure want to be with him. No, it's not. But you want him to turn around and be the opposite that when he with you, so you could turn around years later and be like, this nigga's a coward. And that's a part of not giving your strength to women. Like we were talking about, that's what Samson did. She don't need to know everything. You don't need to tell her everything. You don't need to show her your weaknesses. That's not for her to know. Go ahead, man.
You shall put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and in the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you.
And there
I will meet with you
and commune
with you from above the mercy seat.
Tell them what commune means, just on general principle. See, I know that stuff sounds harsh, yes, Joe. Take your time. Not yet, but he will. Not yet. He's still in the grave, but he will because the Lord told him that. Would you like to hear it? Very well.
That's the bar for commune.
So he said he's going to give you that word on that mercy seat, show you the occupation in the business. Meaning you get the word from Yahuwah on that mercy seat. So that means that because a lot of people don't want to look at that. Because some people feel like Yahuwah can't supersede his law. Would you agree with that? But don't you know if you commit a sin and Yahuwah show mercy to you, he superseded his law? Because the law say you got to die. If you get caught committing adultery and this man showed mercy to you, he superseded his law. Because his law say you got to die. If you were worshiping idol gods and you got caught and he had mercy on you, he superseded his law because his law said you got to die. His law does not provide for mercy anywhere. Anywhere, to anyone, about anything. But see, we don't want to talk about that. Go over here to Matthew, what it is, 27 for George? Matter of fact, no. Give me Luke 23, man. Give me 23 and 15. Who's back there making all that noise? That Madeline? Madeline, you showing out. I bet none of y'all don't show out at the house till you get in here. You looking like that's not the truth. Your turn be so. I don't know. Harlan look like he give you hell. He give you hell sometimes. I'm talking about when I say hell, meaning because Joy do the same thing to D. She won't let her breathe. And when she don't get picked up, well, she screams. That's what I'm talking about. Joy like that every day. I mean, Joanne like that every day. That nigga screams like somebody to beat her. Oh yeah, he got men to deal with. He's like, yeah, screw mom. Yeah. That's different because he's a boy. She don't come looking for me. Go ahead, man.
No, nor yet Herod, for I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him.
No, we might have to drop down a little bit. No, I'm gonna tell you. Yeah. Drop down to verse 26. Luke 23 and 26.
And as they led him away, they laid hold upon.
That's right, Quran. Quran mentioned what's in Ezekiel 18. The soul that sinned against me, that soul should die. A lot of people don't realize that, man, because like I said, right? The man's law is his law. But he greater than the law. You just seen that in Exodus, did you not? And the greatness of his law is literally a place of atonement. So his mercy and reconciliation is greater than the law. But matter of fact, before I even proceed to read this Luke 23, get me 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 1, and this will make a little bit more sense for you. Matter of fact, make it verse 3. 2 Corinthians 3 and 3.
Manifestly declared to be the epistle of Mashiach, ministered by us, written not with ink, but with the ruach of the living Alahym, not in tables of stone.
Not in what?
Not in table of stone.
But in fleshly?
Tables of the heart.
We talked about that yesterday, right? Go ahead.
In such trust have we through Hamashiach to Alahym, Lord, not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think anything as of ourselves, but our sufficiency of Alahym, who also have made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the ruach.
Not of the what?
Not of the letter, but of the ruach.
You see how that going? Because his mercy seat is above the law, that you're going to operate according to his ruach and not the letter, because his ruach provides for mercy. The letter does not. Go ahead.
For the letter killeth, but the ruach give life.
You see that? The letter do what?
It kills.
But the ruach do what?
Give life.
And how does it give life? Because when you preach the gospel to somebody and they believe, and then they can be able to have the word and they understand the word, and then it bring forth fruit. And what is that fruit that it's going to bring? Peace, joy, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness, faith, self-control. Against such there is no law. Read that part one more time.
Who also have made us able ministers of the New Testament, not of the letter, but of the ruach. For the letter killeth,
and the ruach make alive. What does this mean? See, a lot of dudes say we're not in the new covenant, because Jeremiah 31 say what? I'm gonna make a covenant, not like the covenant I made with your fathers when I brought them up out of the wilderness, because that covenant he made with your fathers did not subscribe or provide the opportunity for repentance and remission of sins. You go read Exodus 24, you go read all that, and you find me where this man made an avenue for repentance and remission of sins. It ain't there. Go read from Exodus, go read from Leviticus, go read Numbers, go read Deuteronomy. It ain't there. But when you read Jeremiah 31 and 33, this man tell you what? I put my laws in their hearts and in their minds, and their sins and in iniquity I will remember no more. That's what he said. But they don't want to pay attention to that. Go ahead.
But if the ministration of death, written and graven in stones, was esteemed.
You see that there? Also, boom. Look at it here, because if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly. He said the service of what?
Of death.
Service of what?
Of death.
Written where?
And engraven in stones. So
get what? The law is a service of death once you break it. That's why the mercy seat is above the ark, because life is above death. You know what I'm talking about? And life is with Alahym. Life ain't in the law. That's why he say if the law could give life, then it would have gave it. But the law don't give life. The giver of life is he that sit on the throne that's above those two tables of stones. Go ahead.
was esteemed so that the children of Yasharal could not steadfastly behold the face of Moses, for the esteem of his countenance was to be done, which was to be done away. How shall not the ministration of the Ruach be rather esteemed?
So he said if they couldn't even look on Moses, how you don't see that the service of the Ruach should get greater honor? Go ahead.
For if the ministration of condemnation esteemed, much more do the ministration of righteousness exceed in esteem.
Say that, read that again.
For if the ministration of condemnation be esteemed.
So if the service of condemning you get honor, how much more should what?
The ministration of righteousness exceed in esteem.
And again, if we're looking at righteousness, we seeing, what did he say he was sitting on that throne in Isaiah 16? To show what? Mercy, hasten judgment, and righteousness. It's going to come full circle every single solitary time. Go ahead.
For even that which was made esteemed had no esteem in this respect, by reason of the esteem that excelled.
Go ahead.
For if that which is done away was esteemed, much more that which remained is esteemed.
That's right.
Seeing then that we have such hope, we have great plainness of speech.
That's right.
And not as Moses put a veil over his face, that the children of Yasharal could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished.
Go ahead.
But their minds were blinded. For until this day remained the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which is done away in Mashiach.
To this day. Go ahead.
But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away.
It's a lot of people, man, they hearts covered, so they can't see. See, I get it too, right? See, like I say, I ain't never been to church. So when you got a lot of brews, man, they got to, you know, that New Testament, that's Greek, and this, that, there, and the third. This is the stuff that they say. But they say it because the nigga who taught you the Old Testament don't know what the hell he talking about. But you know why I done told you this before. I'm not saying this just to say it. A lot of people think the New Testament is invalid because these men are not skilled enough to explain things in there that seem contradictory to the law and the prophets. Like I told you, and I ain't got no problem with this gentleman. But he asked a question. He said, show me the concept of only begotten son in the Tanakh. He just knew it wasn't there. I said, bro, it's in there like 3-4 times. Because let me tell you something. People who don't believe in certain concepts that's in the new think that nobody can find them in the old because most of the individuals who they talk to can't. So because those gentlemen can't, they don't think it's there. Now, he did acknowledge, he said something else. He said, but I have to admit, you did show me. I said, yeah, bro. It's Yaked, literally, only begotten son, solitary, only one. He was like, well, damn. But you understand that there's people who don't know that? But it's right there in Genesis 22, plain as day. It's right there. It say only son. The son ain't there. They won't even take the time to look in the language and see what that word means. But you think only begotten son is just a term in the New Testament when it's referring to the child of promise in Isaac, and Abraham already had a natural seed. You know what I'm talking about? But yet he's telling you this is only son. They don't pay attention to that. That's what I mean. It's a lot of stuff in the new that dudes can't explain. So because dudes can't explain it, people just write it off as this got to be phony. The Romans put that there. I bought a book by that when I was in prison talking about that, how the Piso family wrote the New Testament. It's pure nonsense. When you learn the word, I bought it as just informational. Let me see what this John talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if y'all know, see, at FDOC, somebody can't mail you a book. You got to buy the book directly from the publisher. Like if somebody was in prison in Florida, Lil Johnny just couldn't buy a book, put it in the box, and send it to him. You know what I'm saying? He got to buy the book from the publisher and they mail it to him. They do that because, I mean, they open up your mail, but you know, you can hide stuff and stuff like that there, man. So they just rather get it from the publisher than your people. I don't know what they do in other states, but that's what they do here. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, they don't get no care packages around here. You know what I'm talking about? You can't even send money directly to a nigga. You got to send that to Tallahassee. Now they got JPay, so it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? But they ain't had JPay when I was in there. You had to send that money to Tallahassee. You know what I'm talking about? That's how you had to do it. Let me see what he's talking about. Say the goal to enter the Torah is Mashiach. They were not able to see him in the Old Testament. The veil is done away, and those who can now see him praise you. Amen. The veil remains still. It do. It remains mainly because nigga don't believe the word, but also the people who are teaching them are woefully inept. Your level of understanding is going to be based on the level of the individual who will call for you to hear the word, to be dead honest. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, not that it's resting solely on that person, meaning if this person has proper understanding, you can get proper understanding so that when you read on your own, if Yahuwah see fit, he can add to the understanding. That when you read something, he can give you inspiration for you to understand what you read. But if the person who you getting the word from don't have it, that's not going to be possible for you to do that when you go to the house, unless Yahuwah see fit to do it for you. You understand what I'm saying? It's not that it rests with the teacher. If the teacher don't got understanding, how are you going to be able to read something with understanding to get understanding out of something that y'all ain't went over yet, that you just happen to read? That's not going to happen. But if the teacher has understanding and they can give you understanding, then you understanding what you read. So then when you read, you can be like, okay, boom, boom, that what that mean. Period. That's how that works. Yes, Joy. What you want there? What is the mercy seat? That's the throne of Yahuwah, man. That's the throne that Yahuwah sit on. That's what that is. Go ahead.
But even until this day, when Moses read the veils upon their heart, nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Now the Lord is that Ruach, and where the Ruach of the Lord is, there is liberty.
Where the Ruach of the Lord is, there is freedom.
But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the esteem of the Lord, are changed into the same image from esteem to esteem, as by the Ruach of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So you see that? Where the Ruach of the Lord is, there is freedom. Quran just said that he can peep the testimony down in places that we haven't been, so praise be to you. And see, for me, that part, yes. But I'm talking about the beauty is that you can read something, whether we read it or not, but you understand what you read. You understand what I'm saying? That's the key component. Not just the ability just to isolate the testimony, but that you understand what you read. Because that means that you could take it and it could be beneficial to your life and beneficial to your family when you understand what you read. If you don't understand what you're reading, what's the point? I told you when I was in jail, and I'm saying I'm gonna swing through this text, man, because I just want to see if I can peep something in here. And I'm not finna keep reading this. I don't understand what I'm reading. Like, this is a literal thought. I'm like, man, I'm not finna keep reading. Because, you know, some people go to jail. I was reading for information's sake. But some people go to jail, they want to read the Bible like, oh, maybe God will save me out of this situation. And I can remember, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe I was in the book of Job. And I'm like, I don't understand what none of this talking about. I'm not finna keep reading this. And I closed it. And I went out my cell and went and teetered with my homeboy. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not finna keep doing that. Now, most of y'all, because y'all were in the church, you probably kept reading the book even though you knew you didn't understand it because you just felt like that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not saying that's wrong or that's a negative. I'm just talking about the thought process. When you think that's what you're supposed to do, then you're going to do that, even though you knowing I don't understand what I'm reading. And what ends up happening is you get frustrated because you don't really understand what you're reading, and it doesn't actually lead to you actually living out the word because you know you don't understand what you're reading, so you just try to read it for comfort when you know you ain't doing right. You know what I'm talking about? Because when you understand something, guess what you're more inclined to do? Do it. When you don't understand something, you have less motivation and desire to actually commit yourself to the work that is necessary to bring to pass that activity. Hold on. Quran said, I tried to reading the works of Filio recently, and that's the same thing for me. I'm thinking of just putting it down. Yes, you know, I read the works of Filio Paiso before I was in the word. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, this junk don't make no sense. Because people don't realize is, like I said before, everybody don't hold to this point of view. We believe Yahuwah and Yahusha is the same person. So in invalidating Yahusha, you really invalidating Yahuwah, which means you invalidating his Abba. And that's what people don't realize you're doing. The God that you say that you only deal with, you're invalidating him, and you don't even know it. You know what I'm talking about? You don't even know it. And you don't know it because niggas don't know what they talking about. Let's just keep it buck, man. That's really what it boils down to. Niggas don't know what they talking about. Come on back over here to Luke 23 for a side joy. 23 and 26. Luke 23 and 26. Then we coming back to we'll swing to hit the Hebrews 7. in probably about verse 20. And then we'll come back to Proverbs 31.
And as they led him away, they laid hold upon one Simon, a Cyrenian, coming out of the country, and on him they laid the cross.
That he might what?
Bear after Yahushua.
And they're following him a what?
A great company of people and of women.
What they did?
Which also bewailed and lamented.
Y'all don't even know he told the women, you better be skillful in lamentation and learn how to weep. That's why the women were around there crying. Nevertheless.
But Yahushua turning unto them said, daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me.
But weep for who?
Yourselves.
Why?
And for your children.
For behold,
the days are coming in the which they shall say, Baruch the barren, and the wombs that never bare, and the paps which never gave suck.
Then
shall they begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, to the hills, cover us.
For if they do these things,
and a green tree,
what shall be done?
In the dry.
And there was also
2 other malefactors
led with him what?
To be put to death.
And when they would come
to the place which is called Calvary,
there they what?
Crucified him.
And the malefactors,
one on the right hand,
and the other on the left.
Then said Yahushua,
what he said?
Abba, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Now pause. Now I know y'all in here in the room know this, but I just got to make sure you remember it. Why did he say this? According to your law, why did he say this? Sin of ignorance in Leviticus chapter 4. See, that's what I mean, and that's why I'm asking. That's why sometimes I pause and ask y'all these questions. It really don't just be for y'all. It be for people who may come around here who ain't been around here like y'all have and heard this stuff already 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. You know what I'm saying? Because you're talking about over the course of almost 11 years. Because you got to be a damn fool if you think you're going to always just, you're not going to rehash certain matters in this text, man. That's going to be it. Deuteronomy literally means what? The repeating. You know what I'm talking about? He came back and told them the same thing all over again. That's how that works. See, you know, some people are always looking for the newest doctrine. You know what I'm talking about? Got to bring up something ain't nobody ever talked about before. That nigga's a fool. That's somebody who God ain't with. There's something wrong with you. You a jackass of the highest order. Fix your clothes. Fix your clothes. You understand? Yeah, man. Look at man. Mashiach told his apostles the same thing a couple times. That's what people don't realize. Why are all them gospels the same? Because you ever dealt with black people before? You got to tell black people things a few times. Because niggas don't listen or they don't pay attention. You got to tell them, hey, man, don't put your hand on the... How many times y'all had to tell your children don't put the hand on the stove? You know what I'm talking about? They see the stove hot. They see the iron hot. They see it's red. They know it's some heat. They know you cook on it. You still got to keep telling them, don't put your hand on that, boy. And what he go do? It burns. I bet it do. Come on, man.
And they parted his raiment and cast lots. And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also with them derided, saying, he saved others, let him save himself.
Save himself. Now listen again, like I said, right? You go look at Leviticus chapter 4, verse 1. That's for sins out of ignorance. We ain't even finished in 1 Corinthians chapter 2. Let's go, and we need to go back to that in a second. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Definitely hard-headed black folk. That right, stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance. That's got to happen. That has to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand something, man. Them people didn't know what they was doing. Because if they knew what they was doing, they wouldn't have done it. Paul may mention that in 1 Corinthians chapter 2. They ain't know the word like that. If they knew the word, you think they would have killed their Alahym? They didn't know. And when we say they didn't know that they were fulfilling the text. They didn't know they was. You think when they grabbed him up and brought him to them Romans that they was fulfilling what the same people from the tribe of Judah did to Samson by taking him to them Philistines? You think they didn't? You think they knew they were doing that? You don't think that? You think they knew they were slaying innocent blood like when they killed Abner? The people didn't know what they were doing. Look here, man. Even when Capheus gave that prophecy to him about what he was doing, the men it didn't register in their mind what they were doing. Because if you knew, that's why Peter came back later and said, I hope you did it through ignorance. Because if you knew what you were doing, you ought to go to hell. You know what I'm saying? That's why he said, I came for those who are blind that they might see. And they that say that they can see that they might be made blind. Because if you can see, that means you know what you're doing. Ain't nowhere in the world that men knew what they were doing and they was out there screaming, let his blood be on our children's children. You couldn't have known what you were doing. I hope not. Come on with it, man. Well, that coffee smelled like beef stroganoff.
And the people would still be holding, and the rulers also with him and derided him, saying, he saved others, let him save himself if he be Mashiach, the chosen of Alahym. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him and offering him vinegar, and saying, if you be the king of the Yahudim, save yourself. And a superscription also was written over him in letters of Greek and Latin. In Hebrew, this is the king of the Yahudim.
And one of the malefactors,
which were hanged, railed on him, saying,
if you be a Mashiach,
save yourself and
but the
us.
other answering,
rebuked him.
What
saying,
he said?
Do not you fear Alahym,
seeing you are what?
in the same condemnation.
And we indeed,
justly,
for we receive
the due reward of our deeds.
But this man
have done nothing amiss.
And he said unto Yahusha,
Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom.
And Yahusha said unto him,
truly I say unto you, today shall you be with me in paradise.
Now, y'all know the answer, but we got to ask it for the people who don't know. Where you get your justification in the text for this encounter? This encounter with him sparing this man, where does that come from? Where is that written at? You know, Doris? Say what? Is it? Is it? You don't sound confident in that. How much money you willing to put on that? What'd you say? So you ain't willing to bet no money? Oh, you said you're gonna bet everything you got? That what you said? Well, shoot, you saying all this? Shoot, nigga, make the bet. You ain't trying to come up. But yes, that happened with Joseph. But I want you to sit back and look at the nuances of the matter. Joseph was in jail justly or unjustly. Now, they didn't say Mashiach, that this man just rebuked him and said Mashiach was there unjustly, did he not? The other two men who were with him, were they not there rightly? You know what I'm saying? And then one of them say, hey, man, what did Joseph say? See, it was the opposite, because Joseph said to that dude who was getting out to what? Remember me. You know what I'm talking about? So, because a lot of people don't know, well, why is that there? See, you can repent on your deathbed. That's where people get that from. They're not understanding where that comes from. And also that's showing you what's in Exodus 33, where he said, I'll show mercy on whom I'll show mercy, and show compassion on whom I'll show compassion. Because this man humbled himself by saying, hey, man, we in the same condemnation and you running your mouth, he had mercy on him, and he don't need to have no justification for doing so, showing you again how this man supersedes his law. Because this man said he a malefactor, so he supposed to die. He said, don't worry about it, man. You'll be with me in paradise. You good. Give me Ezekiel chapter 3. Derek said something about, can we tie that into that witness? Let's take a look at it. Ezekiel 3:1. We got 1 Corinthians 2, Hebrews 7, Proverbs 31.
Moreover, he said unto me, son of man, eat that you find, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Yasharal. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. And he said unto me, son of man, cause your belly to eat, and fill your bowels with this roll that I give you. Then did I eat, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. And he said unto me, son of man, go get you unto the house of Yasharal, speak with my words unto them. For you not sent to a people of a strange
You ain't sent to a people of a strange speech and a hard language whose words they can't understand.
But to the house of Yasharal.
No, he say, surely had I sent you to them.
Not too many strange people. I was reading verse 5.
Oh, go ahead.
I just finished. Not too many people of a strange speech and of a hard language whose words you cannot understand. Surely had I sent you to them, they would have hearkened unto you.
You hear what he said? He said, if I would have sent you to another group of people, they would have heard what you had to say. But these niggas here don't listen. Go ahead.
But the house of Yasharal will not hearken unto you, for they will not hearken unto me.
That's something you got to remember while you always trying to ram some word on somebody. If they ain't going to listen to God, what do you make you think they going to listen to you? Go ahead.
For all the house of Yasharal impudent and hard-hearted, behold, I have made your face strong against their faces, and your forehead strong against their foreheads. As an adamant harder than flint have I made your forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be rebellious house.
Drop down to verse 13.
Also the noise of the wings of the living creatures that touch one another, and the noise of the wheels over against them, and the noise of a great rushing. So
oh no, I'm working my way all the way to it. Go ahead.
So the Ruach lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness and the heat of my Ruach, but the hand of Yahuwah was strong upon me.
Notice he say he went away and what?
In bitterness.
Tell him what bitterness means.
Bitterness is mar. That's bitterness.
You don't realize Yahushua was in his bitterness, but Yahuwah was strong with him because he strengthened him, did he not? Now listen to him. Verse 15.
Then I came to them of captivity of Tel Aviv that dwelt by the river of Kabar, and I sat where they sat.
And he remained there for how many days?
Astonished among them 7 days.
And it came to pass at the end of the 7 days
that the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying,
Son of Adam,
I have made you a watchman.
Tell him what watchman means, because every Bruce swear they are watchman. Nigga ain't doing
Safar, that's to look out or about, to spy, to keep watch, to observe, to watch.
To observe and to watch, to keep eye on. Listen to him.
Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me.
Give them warning from who?
From me.
Go ahead.
When I say unto the wicked,
you shall what?
Surely die.
And you give him not
warning,
nor speak
to warn the wicked from his wicked ways,
to save
his life.
The same wicked
shall die in his iniquity,
but his blood
will I require at your hand.
Yet,
if you warn the wicked,
and he turn not
from his wickedness,
nor from his
wicked ways,
he shall die
in his iniquity.
But you have delivered
your soul.
See, this is what it's telling you, how his mercy supersedes his law. Because he's telling you, he don't have to do this. That's what people don't understand. He don't have to do that. Now look at the next thing he say in verse 20.
Again, when a righteous do turn away from righteousness and commit iniquity,
and I lay a stumbling block
before him,
he shall die.
Because you have not given him warning.
He shall die in his sin.
And his righteousness, which he have done,
shall not
be remembered.
But his blood
will I require at
So notice he said, if a righteous man do turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and you ain't told him, nigga, you better not go out here sinning, he going to hell, and you going to hell. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, if you warn the righteous that the righteous sin not,
and he do not,
when he do not sin, he shall surely live.
Because he is what?
Warned.
Also,
you have delivered his soul.
See, that's what people don't understand. Why you got to be talking about this, that, that? Because people got to be warned. Tell them what warned means. Don't you know it tell you that in Psalm 19?
To warn is the hard. That's to admonish, to warn, to teach, to shine, to send out light, to be shining.
Shine the light. Let the light be made manifest. Come back to 1 Corinthians 2, man. Pick it up at verse 5.
That your faith should not stand in the wisdom of men, but in the power of Alahym. Howbeit we speak wisdom among them that are perfect, yet not the wisdom of this world, nor the things of this world that come to naught.
That come to what?
To naught.
That's right.
But we speak the wisdom of Alahym in a mystery.
In a what?
In a mystery.
Go ahead.
The hidden, which Alahym ordained before the world unto our esteem. Which none of the princes of this world knew.
Which none of the princes of this world what?
Knew.
If they knew,
they would not have crucified the Lord of esteem.
But it is as it is written.
I have not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which Alahym have prepared for them that love him.
But Alahym
have revealed unto us by his Ruach.
The Ruach search all things.
Yea, the deep things of Alahym.
Tell them what deep things is, man.
That's pathos, that's depth, height.
See, remember y'all, we talked about that, the depth and the height. The who?
A mystery.
A mystery. So when you're dealing with the deep things of Alahym, it's the secret things. The things that have been kept hidden, which is the testimony. Go ahead.
For what man know the things of a man, save the Ruach of man which is in him?
Even so the things Alahym know.
No man.
But the Ruach
of Alahym.
Now we have received not
the Ruach of the world,
but the Ruach which is a who?
Alahym.
That we might know
the things that are freely given to us of Alahym.
Which things also we speak.
Not in the words which man's wisdom teach.
But what teach?
The Ruach HaKadosh.
Comparing what?
Spiritual things with spiritual.
But the natural man
receive not the things of the Ruach of Alahym.
For they are what?
Foolishness unto him.
Neither can he what?
He know because they are spiritually discerned.
Tell him what discerned is right now, man. You know, of course, you know that's in Psalms 92. Brutish man can't know these things.
That's a nakarino. That's to examine or judge, to investigate, to examine, to inquire into, to sift, to question.
So guess what? They don't examine those things, but take a what to Numbers, right? When he said that they dug by the direction of a lawgiver. They searched it out and they examined it. Most natural-minded people, they're not going to examine the text. And when we talk about examining the text, people don't examine the text to know Yahuwah. They examine the text to prove a point. Go ahead.
But he that is spiritual judge all things.
Yet he himself
is judged of no man. For who have known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him. But we have the mind of Mashiach.
What does that mean that a spiritual man judge all things, but he ain't judged nobody by nobody? Because you know that's what people like to say that. What does that mean? What does it mean when you have the fruits of the Ruach and you're displaying joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness? There's no judgment against you. What they going to judge against you? Against us there is no law. What they going to say? That's what I was just telling Rohan, man. He was like, why people don't fear God, man? I'm like, shoot, bro. How is somebody going to tell you about fearing God when he don't fear him? Y'all, some of y'all done been in the church and you know the pastor was sleeping with niggas' wives. He can't come in there and say X, Y, Z because somebody going to be like, well, pastor, you was at Brother Johnson house with his wife last night. You know what I'm talking about? I seen you around there. If he doing, he can't say nothing. Come on, man. I hate to mention him just because he dead, because he can't defend himself no more. But come on, man. How Eddie Long was going to sit around there talking to the people about not playing with booty holes and he was playing with little boy booty holes? Allegedly. Because he never admitted to it. You know what I'm saying? But they accused him. Can you imagine that? That man was going hard about, hey, man, you faggots. Well, he didn't say faggots, though. You know what I'm saying? But saying all this stuff about them people and then come out. You're not only playing with young men's backsides, you tricking with them. Do you know how depraved you got to be to see a 17, 18-year-old boy, or not even that, a 13, 14-year-old boy and groom him for a homosexual relationship and take him on trips and buy him cars? Do you know how demented and perverted your mind got to be to put that together? All the while you standing in front of them people talking about, it's an abomination. Then, you know, you got your mans. You know who I'm talking about? Oh, Pastor Manning. You know about Pastor Manning? This old clip. He was only popular when Obama was president. His popularity waned once Obama left. That was the nigga when he was talking about, and they're going to have flames in your butthole. And, yeah, I'll play the clip when we get finished. I remember, man. He was just going hard, man. He was like, and the burning flame in your butthole. That nigga say God was going to give a curse to any sodomite that if they participated in the activity, that sodomite's behind would burn. Oh, Jedediah say the Most High did a work on Eddie Long. No, he just died. Died a slow, painful death, I would imagine. I can't recall what type of cancer he had, but it definitely looked like it. I mean, cancer ravaged anybody, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he could have not played with booty holes and died of cancer. You know, I'm not gonna necessarily say he caught cancer because he was playing with buttholes, but he definitely went to his grave in his shame. But you know what was even worse that he did? Was even worse than playing with booty holes that he did? This man had them people bring him in on a throne, dressed up like a high priest, carrying them. Oh, y'all don't know nothing about that. You know, when you watch all them videos back in the day, you know, a lot of them videos on YouTube that them boys used to make, them things ain't on YouTube no more. Them boys, they done snatched and grabbed. You know what I'm saying? But he had an instance where they brought him into church, man, sitting on the throne. Mother Sharona said she remember. Yeah, he was sitting on the throne. They carried him in there. He had, you know, the high priest, you know what I'm talking about? Shawl around his neck, all that there, man. That junk was embarrassing. Yeah, he sat on the throne. That was way worse than playing with booty hole. Because that boy came in like he was the high priest, like he was the Lord himself. And you know who one of Eddie Long's best friends was? George W. Bush. If you down with a Bush, boy, you definitely evil. Yeah, he was George Bush. That was his homeboy. That was right there. They were tight. They were tight. He loved George Bush. He showed up for George Bush all the time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Eddie Long wasn't no Democrat. He was definitely a staunch conservative. I seen some brother talking about that the other day, talking about, you ever noticed that the more money black people make, they become more Republican and conservative. I be like, that's because you niggas goofy. But I can understand what he mean, though, because the poor niggas is, they lean to the Democratic Party. Once dudes who ain't really got good sense, they start making some money, they definitely become way more on the Republican side of things because they start to see life through the eyes of a white man. I want to keep my money. And now I got these traditional family values and all this stuff. But when you was young, you was liberal. That's why all that junk a waste of time. You know what I'm talking about? Because you changing ideologies as it serves your desires at any given time in your life. That lets you know it ain't nothing you need to be fooled up with. So we good in 1 Corinthians 2. Oh, you found it? Yeah, Hebrews 7:20. Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, that's a known picture right there. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? Now, see, I don't know about that stuff because you know what I'm saying? Me and Fat Boy, you know, we used to watch videos like that all the time. That was his thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that was his thing. That's what he liked to do. And I would be right there with it. Make it 7 and 17. Hebrews 7 and 17.
For he testified, you a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
Mm-hmm.
For there is truly a disannulling of the commandment going before for the weakness and unprofitableness thereof.
He said there's a disannulling of the what?
Of the commandment.
For the what?
For the weakness and unprofitableness thereof.
See, a lot of people don't know that. God can't, that man can disannul his commandments if he want to. Don't you be acting like this man can't change the law? He can't do that. Yes, he can. And he did. Because he disannulled the priesthood of Aaron and replaced it with the priesthood of Melchizedek because it was unprofitable and weak. Why? Because of the weakness of sinful flesh. He got rid of it. Deal with it, nigga. Let me tell you something, man. Niggas is so dumb that these brews would probably stand with Yahuwah and argue with Yahuwah about what Yahuwah can and can't do. That's the point of us looking at the fact that the mercy seat is above the 2 tables of stone. That means he above his law. So if he want to change it, he can change it. See, what people didn't realize, he didn't change the instructions. He changed the operation of a priesthood. That's what he changed. He didn't get no laws. That man say, when it comes to this priesthood of Aaron and doing the work of the ministry as it pertains to reconciliation, I'm going to get rid of that and I'm going to do something better. That's what he did. Indeed, Quran mentioned how to say the Torah was made weak through the flesh. You know what I'm talking about? Let's continue.
For the law made nothing perfect.
The law made nothing what?
Perfect.
But the bringing in
of a better hope.
By which?
We draw near on the Alahym.
See, a lot of people this is what a lot of people problem is, Christian and Hebrew alike. You see law and you automatically go to thinking about Leviticus 20. You know, the sexual things. This man is literally speaking about the things that pertain to Leviticus 21 with the high priest. The things that specifically refer to Leviticus 16 in the Day of Atonement. More specifically, that's what he's talking about. Go ahead.
And then as much as now without an oath. For those priests were made without an oath.
You see that? You see now he's letting you know exactly. It's like it's hard for me to understand how these niggas can't pick up on what the man's saying. He's literally talking about the high priesthood. And that's why yesterday, remember when we kept reading that it made a distinction between the priests and the Levites? So you could know there was a distinction between the sons of Aaron and then the Levites. Notice that, right? Because you could go read that in Numbers. I think it's number 16. Aaron was not made a high priest with an oath. Let me grab it for you real quick. I don't want no nigga to be like, they don't say that in that chapter. You just said that. I told you to know what he's talking about. Yeah, this number's 18. Listen to Numbers 18 and 1. Yahuwah said unto Aaron, you and your son and your father's house with you shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary, and you and your sons with you shall bear the iniquity of your priesthood. And your brethren also of the tribe of Levi, the tribe of your father, bring you with you, that they may be joined unto you and minister unto you. But you and your sons with you shall before the tabernacle of witness. They shall keep your charge and the charge of all the tabernacle only. They shall not come near the vessels of the sanctuary and the altar, neither they nor you also die. So notice, right? If Aaron's seed would have let them boys come into that veil to that altar, not only was them boys going to die, but they was going to die with them. Because you ain't supposed to let them come in there. Listen to the next thing he say. They shall be joined unto you and keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation for all the service of the tabernacle, and a stranger should not come near unto you. And they shall keep the charge of the sanctuary and the charge of the altar, that there be no wrath anymore upon the sons of Yasharal. Now, I want you to go back to verse 1, Civic. Tell them what iniquity of the sanctuary and iniquity of the priesthood. Tell them what that means.
Iniquity is avon, perversity, depravity, iniquity, mischief, punishment of the sanctuary. That's mikdash, a sacred place.
They had to deal with the punishment of the house or the people. They had to carry that. Now, how can a man carry that if he's sinning? The iniquity of the priesthood.
The iniquity is avon again.
So y'all already know that.
And then of your priesthood, that's kahuna, that's priesthood, priest office.
So they got to carry, the priest office is the one who do the work to get rid of that punishment. Now, how he going to get rid of the punishment and that same punishment on him? Because what did Leviticus 16 tell us what the high priest do? He go in and make atonement for himself and then for the people. So that's showing you the weakness and unprofitableness thereof, how it's weak through the flesh. People can't understand that. Come on back to Hebrews chapter 7. See, praise be to Yahuwah, man, for understanding. 7 and 20 one more time.
And then as much as now without an oath, for those priests remain without an oath, but this with an oath by him that said unto him, the Lord swearing will not repent, you a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek.
So understand, this is strictly talking about the removing of Numbers 18. Hold on. Mother Sharona said, I broke my heart to so many young fathers, black boys weeping at the altar at his church. Then Eddie Long started preaching in muscle shirts. And he was trying to get them young boys. Oh, y'all ain't never seen. Oh, yeah, he used to wear clean suits. And then he went to, and when she say muscle shirts, she talking about the compression shirts that you would train in. Like that. Yeah, man. Yeah, he do. Would he do that in the service or just in his office? I think he just do that in relaxed settings. Eddie Long was in the pulpit. Look at me. That nigga was taking selfies and all, man, sending them to the little boy. You know what I'm saying? And I know that bothered Mother Sharona. She was there. You know what I'm saying? Because you putting your trust in this person got it. That's what delusion people from the word, man. See, it's one thing if he have a foible as a natural man. That's right. When you said it, that's what came in my mind because he used to wear robes. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as she said that, I done seen him in so many photographs and videos. He used to wear long, your regular preacher robes. That boy stopped that junk. That nigga was coming in there, man. Look at my chest, my titty nipples. And he was not trying to catch no women. That's the sad part. That's the sad part, that he was doing all that and he was trying to catch young boys. Do you know how depraved you got to be in the mind to go somewhere and say, boy, I'm going to put that on. I know them young niggas going to see me. I got to put it that way so you can understand how bad that is, bro. That a nigga coming in there, because you had to have forethought. You used to wear robes. Now you coming on here with an Under Armour compression shirt on. Nike compression, Reebok. And he wasn't wearing them with basketball shorts. This nigga was wearing these shirts with jeans. Wide leg jeans at that. And dumpster boots. You know what I'm talking about? Like this here. Yeah, boy. I know he looking in the mirror. Yeah, boy, them boy gonna see me. And she said one of his gay members wrote a book called First Lady. Whoa.
He was the first lady.
I don't know. I probably. I definitely seen interviews of the young men who booty holes he busted. You know what I'm talking about? That's what he did. Shoot, it ain't no need to try to make it a soft landing. Pause. That nigga busted them young boy back. No, I didn't say that. I said that in one particular instance. That's definitely not a continual thing. But nevertheless, though, that nigga was busting up the young boy back, man. That boy was like, yeah, he bought me a Benz. He tried to take me here, shoot me some bread. And but I was saying he was grooming them. So he would get these boys when they like between the ages of 11 and 14 to prep them. And then once they get by 17, 18, he ain't want them no more. That's why the boys told. That's why one of them told. Because he was getting them young, you know what I'm talking about, playing with them, you know what I'm saying? And now, you're too old for me. I need a young boy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Y'all ain't, I can see why y'all was in college. Y'all didn't give a damn about that type of stuff, man. Y'all were living y'all life, man. You like this here. It's a party going down at such and such. You know what I'm saying? That's right. And that's how the sodomite men get them. What Mother Sharona just said. They were looking for fathers. That's how these niggas get these niggas in the word. That's how these red pill niggas get the nigga. You know what I'm talking about? Niggas ain't got no daddy, man. I told you, man, it's a nigga around here. Boy, you got to join a nigga congregation and call this nigga daddy. That's disrespectful to my daddy. I don't give a damn if he was around or not. I'm not calling no grown man daddy. He ain't had no influence. You got to earn that. To be like this here, what's up, Pops? This nigga ain't your daddy. You just met this nigga. You getting on your knees talking about this nigga your daddy. Nigga, you's a faggot. You know what I'm talking about? Because I've been saying this. What you getting on your knees in front of another man for? Why is another man asking you to get on your knees? Why is another man, I don't understand this at all. Why is another man wanting another man's son to call him daddy in any capacity in life? I ain't just talking about this because I was watching a video clip. These niggas was arguing hard. This dude said if he marry a woman or get with a woman who got kids and he pay all the bills, he is demanding that this woman kids call him daddy. I say, this nigga sick in the brain. He's not his kids now. He's saying because he pay all the bills, he daddy. Well, what if these kids got their daddy and he round? What you think gonna happen when he pull up to get his kid? Y'all gonna call me daddy. Well, that nigga gonna whoop you, cuz. But then on top of that, why would you want somebody else's son to call you daddy because you paid a light bill in the rent or the mortgage? I'm your daddy now. Nigga, what's wrong with you? You in the word and you want to do, I'm your father. Call me father. Nigga, what? What's wrong? Y'all don't understand that. That's horrible. Now I understand people got stepkids and things of that nature. They might, but to demand a child call you daddy? Shoot, truth be told, you should be like, because they was like, well, what would you want him to call him? One dude say, just call me Mr. Sweeney. It's like in that individual's mind, it's like you trying to replace that child's father. And one thing I know, man, I don't care what somebody got, because they were talking about that, and then you just seen the dude who used to be a preacher, but now he an Egyptian, old sweet booty nigga. His name Kevin Wesley, that's his name. But he was reading off a letter talking about a dude who paid for his stepdaughter's wedding, and then she wanted her real daddy to walk her down the aisle, and he was upset. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, why are you upset? That's not a bad gripe. It is a bad gripe. You know why it's a bad gripe? Because you the jackass to let yourself think that you could come between her and her natural father. Now you in your feelings. That's your fault. Because if you paid for it, that's fine. If that's what it ain't no situation. Because if the daddy arrives, she got a bond with the daddy that you'll never have. And you thought because you was paying to stay that was gonna make her look at you like she look at her daddy. I don't give a damn if the daddy ain't around or not. He got a bond that you'll never have. No, you feel sour. You're sour at yourself because you thought because you were paying for everything that this child would have a bond with you like they got with their daddy. I understand that. That's his fault. She did. That's why he mad. Man, I don't know when all it was, whether he before or after. But it's the fact that when you fight, that's just the rolling of the dice when you in that type of situation. But see, this is the thing, right? I can't see his gripe. I can look at it and see why some people can see his gripe. Don't get me wrong. But that's what happens because you thought you was doing X, Y, Z, that you could come through. That's his seed. And you can't never come in between that. That's his seed. I ain't even talking about the wedding. Look here, man. I wouldn't give a damn if you got to the point and your God forbid too. Say your son get 10 years old and you die. No nigga she could ever get with gonna come in between the fact that you his daddy. He never gonna look at no other man like he looked at you, because that's his. You got a bond with him. Boy, that boy came from your loins, boy. That boy in your likeness and image. That's a bond that another man you can't come in between that, man. And a lot of dudes think because you played that role that means something. When there's a spiritual and blood familial bond with that man that you don't have. And you know that just from your own churn. And if any of you was raised by another man other than your father, and you knew your daddy, you knew you had a kin, you might have had love for your stepdad. Don't mean you ain't fool with it. But you had a bond, you just like this here. You ain't never heard a nigga say, I want my stepdaddy, and they ain't know their daddy. They still be like, I want to find my daddy. I want my daddy. And then you got to hear, you ain't my real daddy, because there's something inside of you that wants to have a bond with that which is of you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as a man, you got to be prepared that if that happened, to not get in your feelings. Because you shouldn't, go ahead. How can he be? The reason being is you'll never know when that child is going to want to have a relationship or kinship with their daddy. So you can't get in your feelings if that happened. Because you're supposed to know coming into that this is not my child. And that if I do X, Y, Z, there could come a day where that child going to want to have a bond with their daddy, and you can't get upset about that because you should have already weighed that out before you entered into that situation. That's what I'm saying. A lot of dudes don't weigh that out. So you thinking, I paid for this, I did this, I did this, I did this. He wasn't there. You should say, screw your daddy. That's not going to happen, bro. Not a lot of the times. But that's what a lot of people, a lot of men in that situation, that's what they believe based off of what they were doing, because you were trying to use another man's child to fill your desire to be a father when you could have just went and had a child. You know what I'm saying? You got to come into that. That don't mean that I ain't going to do X, Y, Z for him. I'm in the house with you. You in my house. But you would have to know a day could come where they going to be like, man, I want my daddy. You know what I'm saying? And you got to accept that, because that's not your seed. Because guess what? If the situation was reversed and you had a seed and that seed was staying with another man, and your jit was like, I want my daddy, you going to want them to let your jit come see me. You know what I'm saying? What you mean my jit can't do this and my jit can't do that? I'm not saying that a dude's wrong for being upset. What I'm saying is that's on him because he didn't weigh that out before he entered into that. Because that's not the first story I done heard about a young lady telling him like, yeah, I hear all that. Now this one, he didn't pay for it, but she went and told him like, I linked back up with my daddy. I want my daddy to walk me down the aisle. And that nigga was pissed. Because he felt like I've been here 14, 15 years. He wasn't never there. But that's her father. And you can't come in between that. And you got men who I just seen the video clip where a dude came to his son's birthday party and his stepdaddy was acting like he wanted to fight. You can't be here. We don't want you here. You don't do nothing. These my kids now. These my kids now. And it never clicked in his brain. Nigga, how he knew how y'all was over here? You know what I'm saying? It ain't never clicked in his brain. And then it realized, and he asked, how you knew he was here? That nigga say, she gonna be texting me tonight, nigga. It's all good. But it's the fact that you could look another man in the face and say, your kids are my kids now. That is a mental problem. There's something wrong with you mentally. Because you can't enter in that situation like that. You enter in that situation, man, you do right by them children, but you got to understand, boy, that child got a father. The only way that's going to work is if they daddy dead. That's not going to happen. How many grown people you done heard that thought that they want to go find their daddy? Because they ain't have it. You know what I'm saying? And got a man in the house. Their mama got a new man, and they still sitting in the room crying, talking about they want their daddy. Why my daddy don't come see me? Because there's a bond, it's spiritual. There's nothing you can do about that. You link to him. You link to him. And it is what it is. You got to have the wisdom and dexterity, the one to handle that with the child with skill, care, and comfort, and not be some old douchebag that feel like you just want to say F they daddy because you might have a personal thought about they daddy. Because at the end of the day, that's still that child's daddy. And you shouldn't disrespect their daddy just because you don't like them and you with their mama. That's some sucker stuff. Let them figure out their daddy ain't about nothing when they get grown. That ain't your place to say that because you feel like I pay all the bills so you can say it. That's whole nigga activity. She said, even if he is a deadbeat dad, the children desire to know where they come, and they do. And Quran say he has experienced that firsthand, getting my boys that they mom had her man telling the kids to call it. That'd be the worst one too. When the mama is telling the kids to call another man daddy. And Quran ain't no deadbeat. That's just out of spite. You're just doing that out of spite. If the child choose to call you that on their own volition, then that's between you and the child. You know what I'm saying? If the child go to want to call you daddy, that's fine if the child doing it. And if you don't want them to call you that, you can say that. You know, hey, I'm not your father. You have a father. You can call me such and such. But you got to say, because Cub was hot. He was not even just hot about the walking down the aisle. He couldn't invite the people he wanted to come. And they put food on the menu that he was physically allergic to. So I'm like, oh, you was the beta male provider, nigga. You got played. Yeah, when you add that part in. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, even without that part, I understand as a man why he would be upset. I understand why he would be upset, but that's you not weighing it out. You know what I'm saying? And understanding like, hey, that's cool. You want to be with a woman who got churned. That's your business. Ain't nobody kicking you in the balls for that. But you need to understand everything that come with that. Because you was in that experience. Your mama got divorced and remarried him. Now you got this man coming in here. And it'd be different depending on their age. If this nigga's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can't come in here talking about call me daddy. They said no. Because this dude who was talking, he said he didn't care the age of the children. You think a 13-year-old gonna be like, yes, daddy? You got to be crazy as hell, man. Hold on. De'Eric said, I feel you on that. My stepdaughters call me father and daddy because they don't respect nor get down with the natural daddy. They piss their natural daddy off when they call him by his name, but call me daddy. Even after I told them they should call him daddy. But he don't demand that kind of respect, so they don't give. See, that's certain stuff you got to let the kids come to that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they were talking about. What would the kids call you? And they said they would take it as disrespect if the child didn't call. These niggas were arguing hard about that. But one of the ones who was arguing hard, he grew up with a stepdaddy, so I seen why he was emotionally invested in that. You know what I'm saying? I did not. So I knew, nigga, I got one daddy.
I mean, I did, but I feel like a lot of that come down to what every man allowed himself to do.
Indeed.
That's why I can see you got to take accountability for how much you invest yourself in another child.
And because I get it, with most dudes, you thinking if you playing that role that this child should see you like that. But most of the time, you're not even fostering an environment where that child would interact with you like that. Because these men were just talking about you paying the bills. So since I'm paying all the bills, you should call me daddy. So I take that from the men saying that these are men who want to be a father, but they don't want to go make their own children. Now, I also know that some of that come in from this one particular angle right here. No man came and did that for your mama. So you feel like you need to go do that for another child because nobody came and did it for you and your mama. There's a lot of dudes who do that. So they feel like you are their mama and they got to save you from what their mama went through. And that's not good. That's not a good place to be. You shouldn't look at a woman with a child and say, let me come through and do for you what no man did for my mama. Because you coming in from the wrong vantage point and you probably going to damage that child. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I done seen niggas who done did it. It's forfeit. When I say seen them and did it, I peeped what they were doing and how they was behaving. Like, this nigga don't care nothing about his kids. These kids in here. Then you got niggas who got kids because they know she got somewhere to stay. They ready to play stepdaddy so they can have somewhere to stay. I done seen that more than the first thing I said. I done seen that way more. The first thing I stated, the former, that's a type of mental delusion. That is a level of psychosis that can't be explained with words. Ron say that's right. There ain't no way, bro. He say, nor when the dad is a loving father or trying to be in the kid's life, I would not let someone's kid call me dad. I'd correct them. That's weird to me. And DC stated that insecurity has a lot to do with that. It do. Because you feel like by doing that, that's you asserting your dominance in that household. by trying to assert your dominance over this man's children. You know what I'm saying? And that's another level of mental psychosis that don't make no sense. Why you just can't be in the house and love the kids and the kids love you and y'all just interact with each other? And if they want to call you or see you as a father, then that's their business. It's not that hard. You know what I'm talking about? But all that can be avoided if we would just do things Yahuwah's way. And remember, or at least way over there. I think Muffin said that happened to her too when somebody said, dang, all your kids look alike. And they just shocked when you was like, that's what happened when they got the same dad. Do you understand that that's how different it is out here that niggas shocked that a woman to have all her kids from the same man? Because I know y'all get it and niggas look at it crazy. Oh, your kid from the same man? Well, damn, nigga, what I supposed to have been on the tilt-a-whirl? You know why? Because there's so many women out here, unfortunately, that got kids from 3 or 4 different dudes that people think that's normal. You know what I'm saying? They think normal. Because it's odd that niggas be shocked that all your kids look alike. That's just how bad. That's not a knock on people. That's a knock on how society has crumbled and allowed us to be able to engage in activities that's not beneficial to us. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the latter, and every woman ain't like that. But then you got some women, they had kids, they ain't even looking for no husband. They looking for somebody to come in and play daddy to them children and pay them bills. You know what I'm saying? They on the hunt. They don't give a damn if they like this nigga or not. Is he gonna pay what he stay? You know what I'm saying? Ain't that what they say? Pay what you weigh so you can stay. It's a sad world we live in out here, man. And the only people who suffering is the children. Because some of y'all probably grew up with people who had different parents in the house, whether mother or father. Because I know too many girls who was molested, and they were molested by a nigga who wasn't related to them. Now I know a lot who was molested by people who was related to them. You know how many dudes that we came up with that them niggas wore beatings and whoopings from their stepdaddy that they real daddy probably wouldn't have beat them like that? So that one thing I noticed when I was young, boy, when that wasn't a nigga child, that nigga seemed like he just had extra aggression on whooping on this nigga. Like, is it that serious, man? You're beating a nigga like he a slave, man. You gotta beat on that child like that, man. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 22.
Verse 23, man. Hebrews 7. I don't be liking that. See, I don't know if y'all who y'all grew up around, but I grew up around niggas who had niggas in the house that wasn't their daddy, and some of them niggas treated them niggas wrong. You know what I'm saying? Now my homeboy, Mr. Lawrence, y'all have mercy on his soul. That wasn't his daddy, but Mr. Lawrence was solid all the way around the ball. He ain't never do Miss Linda dirty. He ain't never do my homeboy, his brother dirty. Stand up, man, all the way around the ball. Really was the only father they really knew effectively. They knew their daddy, but Mr. Lawrence was solid. Every day I known him. You know what I'm saying? Ain't never treat my homeboy them funny, man. You know what I'm saying? But then we knew other niggas like, hey, man, that wasn't their daddy, and that nigga treated them niggas like he wasn't their daddy. By beating on them like they were slaves, man, or beating on them like grown men. Go ahead, man.
By so much was Yahushua made a surety of a better testament, and they truly were many priests, because they were not suffered to continue by reason of death.
But this?
Because he continued forever, have an unchangeable priesthood, wherefore he is able also to save them to the uttermost that come unto Alahym by him, seeing he ever lived to make intercession for them.
For such a high priest is what?
Become us.
Who is what?
Kadash.
Pause. Now this is Kadash. Now Kadash if you want. And then what is it?
Harmless.
Tell him what harmless means. Hold on. Quran said he agreed with that. I always tell my boys, look, you two been through so much because me and your mom was sexually irresponsible. And that's be the unfortunate part too.
That's Akakos. That's without guile or fraud. Harmless. Free from guilt.
He free from guilt. That means he ain't no sinner. See, Aaron can't make that proclamation. Go ahead.
Undefiled. Separate from sinners.
Tell him what undefiled means.
That's Amientos, not defiled, unsoiled.
No sin
pure.
again. He's separate from sinners. Could Aaron ever be separate from sinners? No. What's the next one?
And made higher than Shamahim.
That's why you turn around and you see that in the regards of the ark being under the mercy seat, because he higher than heaven. Because the verse I wanted, we didn't get to it. Remember what he said? He said, how can this house that I built you contain you? The heavens can't contain you. That was Solomon said. I think that was in Kings. But nevertheless, come on with it, man.
Who need not daily, as those high priests, to offer up a sacrifice, first for his own sin,
and then for the sins of who?
The people.
For he did this when?
Once.
How many times?
Once.
Twice.
Once.
5 times.
Once.
Every year.
Once.
When he what?
Offered up himself.
For the law.
Make men high priests.
Which have what?
Infirmity.
You see that? Tell them what infirmity means. And you know the main reason why we mentioned some of the things that we mentioned, man, so we could teach the children to be more responsible. So they don't make the mistakes that they're going to meet other people who they grow up around and see and think that's a normal way to behave.
Asthenia, want of strength, weakness, infirmity, sickness, disease.
Sickness and disease. You know, he told you got infirmities in Isaiah 1. That sicknesses and diseases that you're going to die. See, like this here, right? I'm thinking about this here, right? How many people y'all know that had kids as a teenager? And now their kids grown? And how many of them kids that you know that had kids as a teenager, now their kids grown, that their kids became teenage parents also? But you know why? Because ain't nobody going to take the time to sit back and learn from or mention like, hey, boy, I did things like this. This ain't the way to do it, because niggas get in their feelings and think it's a personal attack on them when you got an opportunity to say, I've already did this and went through this, so you don't have to. Like I told you, I got a lot of peers, they grandparents now. And they had kids when we was in high school. And every last one of them, they children had a child as a teenager. Every one of them. Every person that I know of that had a child as a teen, all their kids had killed in the teen. And if they didn't have them teen, they had them, when we say teens, I'm talking about before graduating high school, or they had them 18, 19 years old. They followed the same behavior and conduct that their parents did. So you have to do that. If you just walk around thinking the kids ain't gonna do nothing, then they just gonna be making their own decisions. They don't know nothing. And you know who's gonna be their biggest influence? Their peers. We didn't talk about this before, man. How many of y'all young ladies had a desire to want to have sex because your friends who was having sex kept talking about it? Trying to make you feel like you missing out on something. Because you ain't got no parents, no adults influencing you like that. So who else is bringing that influence? And if your parents ain't telling you nothing different, then guess what you might have an inkling to do? Lean to your friends. And you know why young people lean to their friends? Because they don't want to be ostracized from the group. They don't want nobody to say, I don't want to be your friend. How many times you done seen these kids talking about they said they ain't be my friend and now they upset, looking ugly, arguing with each other and this, that, and the third. Because human beings are social creatures that have a proclivity to want to be a part of a group. Just because you don't care about hanging around with people, don't mean your child won't. Your child ain't you. They're a whole different person. They got a whole different personality and a whole different way of looking at life. And you got to make sure you're giving the proper information. Because just because you strong-willed don't mean your child is. So if they friends say, yeah, man, we going to smoke this weed, you want to smoke? If you ain't even put that in their brain that this ain't the way that they want to go, they'll go smoke that weed just so they can remain friends with these people. Hopefully ain't none of y'all ever did that. You ever did that, folks? Six said, hell no. Or you was the one peer pressure. Stop lying, nigga. You did get peer pressure because you said you got a Facebook page because your friends say you ain't had that.
Okay, that's one thing. But I never drank or smoked because of peer pressure.
I know that. Yeah. No, that just came to my mind. I just had to slide that in on it. You know what I'm saying, Paul? You know what I'm talking about? Because he was talking about it the other day. We were just talking about it the other day. That's why it's on my mind. He was like, then you say, how you in college? Ain't got no Facebook page. They say, I have a Facebook page for what? Then when he got that Facebook page, you couldn't get him to keep his shirt on. That's definitely what they were trying to do. They say, you can't get no buns if you ain't on the date now. You were going to college with some white boys too, wasn't
it? It was mixed. But
yeah, because you know the white boy believe in that. They look at Facebook and Instagram that that's a date now, and you got to maximize it. They believe that wholeheartedly.
But I say most of my friends are all white.
I'm trying to tell you, that's how them boy roll, man. Verse 28, man.
For the law make men high priests which have infirmity, but the word of the oath, which was since the law, the Son, who is consecrated forevermore.
That's good. Let's come over here to Proverbs 31. We got to get off here. So, y'all willing, man, we did all that about the kings not drinking wine and why it's not good for princes to drink. So then y'all willing on Wednesday, we can come back and look at verses 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But you also see that's evidence what we talk about, how one verse can be one thing all by itself. You know what I'm saying? And now you can understand why when you look at the manner of the king's office, why it ain't good for him to drink. Why it ain't good for kings to be no drunk. So hallelujah for Yahushua in the word, man. We'll start right there, man. I appreciate everybody's time this evening or this afternoon. They got the food ready for niggas to chew. The churn look like they want to play. Don't you get your black behind up and start running and playing in here. I know that. I didn't say you was. I said don't get up and do it. Because I'm going to start tripping y'all. When I see you run by, I'm going to stick the leg out. See what happens. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Y'all willing, man. We'll be back on Wednesday. And we'll keep on going through the avenue that we going in. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Hua, man. For sure, so. Shalom, Quran. Yes. I'm still talking. So
Everybody wants some camera time.
everybody wants some camera time. Look at this nigga here. You don't never come when I talk. I know you want to be on camera. So yeah, y'all willing, man. We'll be back on Wednesday and make it do what it do. Okay, she said they need about 30 minutes for the food to warm up. So since they need about 30 minutes, man, if any of y'all got some questions or anything of that nature, man, you can ask them right now. If not, I'll get on off here. Oh, shoot. Love you too, Mother Shimona. Shoot, most definitely. Shalom, Brother Run.
I've been wearing this yesterday. I never saw it. My dad. And then we're.
So y'all ain't got nothing? So
Want to get some camera time too?
So y'all willing, man, we'll come back Wednesday and keep on rolling how we roll.